again, it just tells the story of it's the evil and the ugliness of people's hearts these days is everywhere.
This is Franky Rose's Think Tank. Here's your host, Franky Rose.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Think Tank. So how is everybody doing on 420? Happy 420. For those of you who indulge, and even if you don't, happy April 20th, I guess. So we are going to take a look at this carjacking out of Florida. We're going to look back a couple days up until today. We're going to look at the different updates from the sheriff's office. So let's see. We are going to start over here. I think this is the first one. I was thinking about the wig, Mexi, for maybe a live with members only. I'm thinking, but I'll break out the wig.
Our judiciary subpoenaing records from phones, other pieces of evidence, video evidence from crime scenes, and we're still waiting for a lot of that information to come back. We knew that initially Catherine had been traveling north from Homestead. I think the initial report that we had relayed to you that her husband, Miguel, had provided information to our detectives initially that she was coming up to visit family members. We said at the time we did not know of any family members that were located in the area. We've since located at least 2 family members, but neither one of them were expecting a visit from Catherine at the time. When she was on her way traveling up here, probably around 4 p.m. in the afternoon, when she was probably in the area of downtown Orlando on I-4, there.
So this is a really scary thing. How do you protect yourself from something like this happening? Because rolling up your window is not going to do it if they've got a weapon. I don't know.
There was likely
Scary.
a communication, a phone call that occurred through a FaceTime communication. We had reported that the husband, Miguel, had provided his phone and was cooperative, but we thought that there was a lot of details that he was leaving out, is what I said at the last news conference. Her brother, Louis, has also been providing information and also gave his telephone up voluntarily for forensic examination, and actually was conducting, by his words, his own independent investigation. He did not contact law enforcement to do that, but he reached out from a computer that was connected to an iPhone through an iCloud account and found a contact that looked like it was the last person that Catherine had spoken with. And then, by his report, he called that person and he said he did not know who that person was.
Look at how scary that is. Look at that. Like, are you kidding me already? Are you kidding me already?
He screenshotted an image of the person that he called. We have later identified that person. I'm going to call him Giovanni for now. There's going to be a lot of names here, but I'm going to call him Giovanni. We'll release his full name at the conclusion of this press conference. He takes a still photo, does not know who the person is, and sends it to our detectives. The forensic examination of his phone shows a greater picture of not only the person that he sent us the photograph of, but he was actually in FaceTime. So it's a FaceTime photograph of Louis talking with this person who we now know to be Giovanni. We identified Giovanni by taking the photograph that is contained in the image that is released, running it through a database called Faces that's run in Pinellas County by the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, and it matched.
I had not heard of this Faces, where they're able to match up a face from a picture to possibly somebody that they have a record of. That's the way I'm understanding it.
Is with 98.6% a 2019 arrest in Orange County, a booking image that identifies the person as Giovanni. Giovanni and his girlfriend, will use her last name for this, as Soto. They reside in Castleberry. As detectives are awaiting a lot of the investigative reports to come back on the phone tolls, photographs, 417 cameras, all of these things, we ultimately, through surveillance, established probable cause to conduct a search warrant of the home in Castleberry where Giovanni and his girlfriend Soto live. We conduct the search warrant after Giovanni and Soto leave the residence. We go inside and ultimately find fentanyl, a gun, the gun not a 10 millimeter, and likely not related to this particular crime. And ultimately, Giovanni is facing charges for that. While we're conducting the search warrant, we get contacted by our federal partners at HSI that Soto, the girlfriend of Giovanni, and an occupant of the house in Castleberry that we're executing a search warrant on, takes and accepts delivery of 3 kilos of cocaine after it was mailed in through the mail. United States Postal Service intercepted that.
Whoa, through the mail. Is that just like a stupid move? Or did they actually think this was the best way? Good God, man. Good God.
A delivery was made in Osceola County where Soto collects that delivery. She is arrested, facing federal charges, and currently incarcerated in Osceola County under a federal hold looking at that. Giovanni is facing Seminole County charges of trafficking fentanyl, and then we will release specific details and ask for the public's assistance to help us locate him. We've got his photo. We're going to put a photo up on the screen later in this news conference. Going back to the vehicle, I said that the green Acura was incredibly unique. There were 3 in the state. 2 were salvaged. There was only 1 that was out there, but there was no license plate on the Acura. In a previous news conference, I said it was legitimately owned by a family in Castleberry. They sold it to a dealership or traded it at a dealership. It went to an auto auction and then ultimately ended up in a buy here, pay here that does a lot of their marketing and sales on Facebook Marketplace. When they post that on Facebook Marketplace, a person with a profile name of Jordan LaTroy reaches out, does not speak English, and then ultimately shows.
Talk about stupid criminals. I mean, there's cameras everywhere these days. We talk about it all the time. What makes them think that they're above being caught on camera? We know about all the phone data they can get, vehicle data. I mean, how stupid are these people?
Up at the car dealership to purchase that green Acura. The profile photograph on the Facebook profile that's used to communicate with the buy here, pay here dealership. We'll put an image up on the screen here of that profile picture. Back 1 slide. And you can see it appears that the profile picture taken in January is somebody wearing exactly the same clothes, or what appears to be exactly the same clothes as our shooter. A backtrack of a phone number that is given with the purchase of the green Acura. And I remember I had said in the previous news conference that the purchaser never came back to finalize the deal, is why there was no tag ever registered to the vehicle. A phone number that was used in that communication links back through an Orange County Sheriff's Office burglary report of somebody with the name of Jordanish Torres Garcia. We'll put his photograph up there. Jordanish Torres Garcia. Again, the name used in that profile is Jordan LaTroy. The phone the phone number that he uses links back to his legitimate legal name, Jordanish Torres Garcia, or as he goes, by Jordan, 28 years old. He had an active felony warrant for weapons possession, and with the assistance of the U.S. Marshals, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, we now have him in custody here at the Sheriff's Office. We arrested him in Orange County as he was walking in to a business on Orange Avenue, south of I think it's Oak Ridge, a couple miles south of Oak Ridge. And this photograph is a photograph that was taken at the time of the arrest just after noon today. Again, he is here at our office being interviewed for his connection in this crime. Now, back to the comparison of photographs, please. We can go back to that. I'm identifying him as a person of interest because when it comes to legal cases, that's probably the safest thing to call him. But his phone number is matching the phone number that was given with the person who purchased the green Acura. The profile that is connected to him, the image on the right or in front of what looks like a location, a tourist location in Orlando, is the profile image that he has had up there since January. And then, of course, the photograph of the crime scene of what he's wearing looks to me like it's identical, right? So I don't know how strong you can emphasize a person of interest. He's not going to be released. He has federal charges that he's going to be held on, and this investigation will continue. All of this is without yet getting the tolls and the records that we have subpoenaed.
Thank you.
Out there.
So it does sound like there's possibly 2 more people that have not been arrested or identified as of this morning anyways.
We still don't know yet who the other occupant in the green Acura is. We'll continue to work that angle of the investigation. But again, this is great police work, great investigative follow-up, a collaboration between the FBI, the DEA, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, HSI, and our media partners who have been doing an outstanding job keeping this on the forefront of everyone's attention, front and center of what's going on. The communication that Lewis has provided us was less than forthcoming. Still, Lewis and Miguel being the husband, Lewis being the brother, are not suspects. We're not charging them at this time. But there again, Lewis's communication with us was that he talked to this person on the phone, which we now know to be Giovanni. He tells us, Lewis tells us, that Giovanni says that Catherine was up here to deliver money and other stuff for a friend. Now, again, I'm not going to speculate, but he says to us she was up here to deliver money and other stuff for a friend. And again, person of interest, Jordan Torres Garcia, is in custody here at the sheriff's office, is being interviewed right now by detectives. The other person of interest we're looking for is Giovanni. We'll release Giovanni's full information and we will have media packets that kind of summarize as much as we can. Again, incredibly complicated investigation that has twists and turns, but in just about a week, I think that there's great.
So what's going on is like the bowl haircut a thing now? Just put a bowl over your head and cut? Is that a thing now?
Progress in this investigation without getting a lot of the court documents and records back yet. When those records come back, I think it's going to be able.
Okay, you've been listening in on this news conference and you.
Okay. So this one here is the following. Let me see here. Is the next one that they have. So let's see if we can learn more on this.
As timely as we can as this case evolves. Over the past week, many of the experts that the news channels have brought in to talk about complicated and sophisticated cases like this have been absolutely correct. Over the past week, our detectives have been working with our judiciary, subpoenaing records from phones, other pieces of evidence, video evidence from crime scenes, and we're still waiting for a lot of that information to come back. We knew that initially Catherine had been traveling north from Homestead. I think the initial report that we had relayed to you that her husband, Miguel, had provided information to our detectives initially that she was coming up to visit family members. We said at the time we did not know of any family members that were located in the area. We've since located at least 2 family members, but neither one of them were expecting a visit from Catherine at the time. When she was on her way traveling up here.
So that's really odd. They're saying that she was not planning on seeing them. So is it a surprise or was she being sneaky about something? I have no clue.
Probably around 4 p.m. in the afternoon when she was probably in the area of downtown Orlando on I-4. There was likely a communication, a phone call that occurred through a FaceTime communication. We had reported that the husband, Miguel, had provided his phone and was cooperative, but we thought that there was a lot of details that he was leaving out, is what I said at the last news conference. Her brother, Louis, has also been providing information and also gave his telephone up voluntarily for forensic examination and actually was conducting, by his words, his own independent investigation. He did not contact law enforcement to do that, but he reached out from a computer that was connected to an iPhone through an iCloud account and found a contact that looked like it was the last person that Catherine had spoken with. And then, by his report, he called that person and he said he did not know who that person was. He screenshotted an image of the person that he called. We have later identified that person. I'm going to call him Giovanni for now. There's going to be a lot of names here, but I'm going to call him Giovanni. We'll release his full name at the conclusion of this press conference. He takes a still photo, does not know who the person is, and sends it to our detectives.
So what I'll do is I'll just pop to the next one because it seems like this is an extended version of what we just watched. Or maybe we'll watch this for a couple more minutes and see how it goes, actually.
The forensic examination of his phone shows a greater picture of not only the person that he sent us the photograph of, but he was actually in FaceTime. So it's a FaceTime photograph of Louis talking with this person who we now know to be Giovanni. We identify Giovanni by taking the photograph that is contained in the image that is released, running it through a database called Faces that's run in Pinellas County by the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, and it matches with 98.6% a 2019 arrest in Orange County, a booking image that identifies the person as Giovanni.
So we're going to look here. We'll take a look over here because I do believe that is an extended version with a different view. There was 3 yesterday, and I don't see the first one as of yet. I'm going to keep looking. Do.
Right now. You just can't hear it.
We'll just go right through this. Oh, wow. We'd be sitting for a minute, wouldn't we?
The third update that we're providing on the Catherine Aguas Vivas murder case, kidnapping case. And, what's incredibly important is that we continue to advise the public as timely as we can as this case evolves. Over the past week, many of the experts that the news channels have brought in to talk about complicated and sophisticated cases like this have been absolutely correct. Over the past week, our detectives have been working with our judiciary, subpoenaing records from phones, other pieces of evidence, video evidence from crime scenes, and we're still waiting for a lot of that information to come back. We knew that initially Catherine had been traveling north from Homestead. I think the initial report that we had relayed to you that her husband, Miguel, had provided information to our detectives initially that she was coming up to visit family members. We said at the time we did not know of any family members that were located in the area. We've since located at least 2 family members, but neither one of them were expecting a visit from Catherine at the time. When she was on her way traveling up here, probably around 4 p.m. in the afternoon, when she was probably in the area of downtown Orlando on I-4, there was likely a communication, a phone call that occurred through a FaceTime communication. We had reported that the husband, Miguel, had provided his phone and was cooperative, but we thought that there was a lot of details that he was leaving out, is what I said at the last news conference. Her brother, Louis, has also been providing information and also gave his telephone up voluntarily for forensic examination, and actually was conducting, by his words, his own independent investigation. He did not contact law enforcement to do that, but he reached out from a computer that was connected to an iPhone through an iCloud account and found a contact that looked like it was the last person that Catherine had spoken with. And then, by his report, he called that person and he said he did not know who that person was. He screenshotted an image of the person that he called. We have later identified that person. I'm going to call him Giovanni for now. There's going to be a lot of names here, but I'm going to call him Giovanni. We'll release his full name at the conclusion of this press conference. He takes a still photo, does not know who the person is, and sends it to our detectives. The forensic examination of his phone shows a greater picture of not only the person that he sent us the photograph of, but he was actually in FaceTime. So it's a FaceTime photograph of Louis talking with this person who we now know to be Giovanni. We identified Giovanni by taking the photograph that is contained in the image that is released, running it through a database called Faces that's run in Pinellas County by the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, and it matches with 98.6% a 2019 arrest in Orange County, a booking image that identifies the person as Giovanni. Giovanni and his girlfriend, will use her last name for this, as Soto. They reside in Castleberry. As detectives are awaiting a lot of the investigative reports to come back on the phone tolls, photographs, 417 cameras, all of these things. We ultimately, through surveillance, established probable cause to conduct a search warrant of the home in Castleberry where Giovanni and his...
So some of this does seem like it's an absolute repeat, but it is literally hours after, like it's the third one, and it's quite a few hours after the second one. So I'm not quite sure why we've got all of the double information unless he feels it's absolutely necessary to keep repeating it. That could very well be.
girlfriend Soto live. We conduct the search warrant after Giovanni and Soto leave the residence. We go inside and ultimately find fentanyl, a gun, the gun not a 10 millimeter, and likely not related to this particular crime. And ultimately, Giovanni is facing charges for that. While we're conducting the search warrant, we get contacted by our federal partners at HSI that Soto, the girlfriend of Giovanni, and an occupant of the house in Castleberry that we're executing a search warrant on, takes and accepts delivery of 3 kilos of cocaine after it was mailed in through the mail. United States Postal Service intercepted that. A delivery was made in Osceola County, where Soto collects that delivery. She is arrested, facing federal charges, and currently incarcerated in Osceola County under a federal hold looking at that. Giovanni is facing Seminole County charges of trafficking fentanyl, and then we will release specific details and ask for the public's assistance to help us locate him. We've got his photo. We're going to put a photo up on the screen later in this news conference. Going back to the vehicle, I said that the green Acura was incredibly unique. There were 3 in the state. 2 were salvaged. There was only 1 that was out there, but there was no license plate on the Acura. In a previous news conference, I said it was legitimately owned by a family in Castleberry. They sold it to a dealership or traded it at a dealership. It went to an auto auction and then ultimately ended up in a buy here, pay here that does a lot of their marketing and sales on Facebook Marketplace. When they post that on Facebook Marketplace, a person with a profile name of Jordan.
So they've still got, as far as I know, 2 people that need to be picked up. Giovanni, and let's see if we come up with another name.
LaTroy reaches out, does not speak English, and then ultimately shows up at the car dealership to purchase that green Acura. The profile photograph on the Facebook profile that's used to communicate with the buy here, pay here dealership, we'll put an image up on the screen here of that profile picture. Back one slide.
Check that out.
And you
Oh
can
my
see
God.
it appears that the profile picture taken in January is somebody wearing exactly the same clothes, or what appears to be exactly the same clothes as our shooter.
So again, how bright are you? You wear, to do a crime like this, an outfit that is your main picture on your Facebook page. What the hell? And if you notice, he's also wearing the same balaclava. It's like, what?
A backtrack of a phone number that is given with the purchase of the green Acura. And I remember I had said in the previous news conference that the purchaser never came back to finalize the deal, is why there was no tag ever registered to the vehicle. A phone number that was used in that communication links back through an Orange County Sheriff's Office burglary report of somebody with the name of Jordanish Torres Garcia. We'll put his photograph up there. Jordanish Torres Garcia. Again, the name used in that profile is Jordan LaTroy. the phone that
Look at that dumb ass. How are they all getting these like absolutely beautiful haircuts? They're fairly recognizable as well. I haven't seen people with bowls over their heads since the 60s.
phone number that he uses links back to his legitimate legal name, Jordanish Torres Garcia, or as he goes by, Jordan, 28 years old. He had an active felony warrant for weapons possession, and with the assistance of the U.S. Marshals, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, we now have him in custody here at the Sheriff's Office. We arrested him in Orange County as he was walking in to a business on Orange Avenue, south of I think it's Oak Ridge, a couple miles south of Oak Ridge. And this photograph is a photograph that was taken at the time of the arrest, just after noon today. Again, he is here at our office being interviewed for his connection in this crime. Now, back to the comparison of photographs, please. We can go back to that.
So it is more than likely that they have deleted this lady. I'm waiting for an update to see if they have found her as of yet. But these guys are just running around unaliving people for what? You're not taking their vehicles. What gives?
I'm identifying him as a person of interest because when it comes to legal cases, that's probably the safest thing to call him. But his phone number is matching the phone number that was given with the person who purchased the green Acura. The profile that is connected to him, the image on the right or in front of what looks like a location, a tourist location in Orlando, is the profile image that he has had up there since January. And then, of course, the photograph of the crime scene of what he's wearing looks to me like it's identical, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how strong you can emphasize a person of interest. He's not going to be released. He has federal charges that he's going to be held on, and this investigation will continue. All of this is without yet getting the tolls and
possibly more than one. I'm just going to go over a couple of things that I'm looking at right now. And I have to verify that they are talking about the same carjacking as this one. I mean, it looks like this stuff is going wild in Florida right now.
records that we have subpoenaed out there. We still don't know yet who the other occupant in the green Acura is. We'll continue to work that angle of the investigation. But again, this is great police work, great investigative follow-up, a collaboration between the FBI, the DEA, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, HSI, and our media partners who have been doing an outstanding job keeping this on the forefront of everyone's attention, front and center of what's going on. The communication that Lewis has provided us was...
So I just had to check. Yeah, absolutely. Because they did find the burned up truck with remains in there. That is what I thought, but I didn't want to definitely say it until I found out again, double check, because like I said, there's too much going on when it comes to these crimes right now.
Less than forthcoming. Still, Lewis and Miguel being the husband, Lewis being the brother, are not suspects. We're not charging them at this time. But there again, Lewis's communication with us was that he talked to this person on the phone, which we now know to be Giovanni. He tells us, Lewis tells us, that Giovanni says that Catherine was up here to deliver money and other stuff for a friend. Now, again, I'm not going to speculate, but he says to us she was up here to deliver money and other stuff for a friend. And again, person of interest, Jordan Torres Garcia, is in custody here at the sheriff's office, is being interviewed right now by detectives. The other person of interest we're looking for is Giovanni. We'll release Giovanni's full information, and we will have media packets that kind of summarize as much as we can. Again, incredibly complicated investigation that has twists and turns, but in just about a week, I think that there's great progress in this investigation without getting a lot of the court documents and records back yet. When those records come back, I think it's going to be able to put a lot of the pieces of the puzzle that are still outstanding together. So with that, again, this is an ongoing investigation. I will try to answer as many questions as I can possibly answer.
Sheriff, you said before Catherine was targeted in this. Have you established a connection between Catherine and Jordan and why you targeted her?
The direct connection between Jordan and Catherine has not yet been established. I think that we have established a clear connection between Catherine's brother and Giovanni, and we have not made the connection yet with Jordan as far as this. So to answer the question of why, if this is our shooter, why he would target her, I can't answer that question yet.
And similarly, between Jordan and the tow truck driver that was shot the night before.
Yes. That those connections will largely be based on the evidence that we get back from phones and records and computer records and documents. But again, no further information on the connection with the tow truck driver at this time with this.
What about Giovanni and Jordan? No connection between them either?
Not that we have right now.
Does Jordan have any known gang or otherwise connections?
Well, listen, he's wanted for gun charges out of Puerto Rico, right? And I think that although there's not a whole lot documented other than that, it's fair to say he's got a lot of connections that are probably illicit and illegal. But we'll get that record back. I mean, we didn't even know where he was until noon today. So now that we have him, it'll be based upon what he says in this interview. But he's a bad guy. There's no doubt about it.
Do you have any idea how long they've been operating in Florida?
Well, the only thing that we know for sure is the photograph in the face or the alias Facebook account was taken in January. There is some criminal history in 2024 for a burglary. We're looking to see kind of where that was out of. I think it was out of Orange County where he has a connection there. So at least the past 4 months here, but the in-depth breakdown of this, I don't know at this time because all of this is fresh information coming out right now.
Do we know how the tow truck driver fits into this investigation? Do we know if he was also linked in any way to the suspects?
So we know that the tow truck driver is connected with this group, right? We have the 10 millimeter casings. We have some evidence that was collected by the Orange County Sheriff's Office there. They're taking primary focus on that investigation. We know that the green Acura was seen at that location. So there is clearly a connection here. But the scope of this update has no new updates with the tow truck driver since the last time I provided an update, I think a week ago today, or actually on Monday is the last one.
You mentioned Catherine's brother was doing some sort of, or whoever the relative was, doing some sort of independent investigation. Is there any understanding of what sort of resources you might have at his disposal?
So what it appears, first of all, if your sister is gone missing or believed to be dead, and you're not working with the police on the investigation, you're doing your own independent, they call that a clue, right? It is incredibly out of the ordinary behavior. But what we think he was doing is tapping into her social media accounts, probably on a computer that was sharing the same icon.
So am I understanding this, that they're saying that there's a possibility that the brother had something to do with this? Am I understanding this right?
Cloud account where he could see any FaceTime calls or any communication she may have had. He looks at that, provides information on that, but screenshots a portion of the screen that shows an image of likely the last person who she spoke to, which is Giovanni. We forensically examine Lewis's phone after he gives it to us, and it's a larger picture where he's actually engaged in a screen time conversation. Typically, they'll have the big picture of who you're talking to, and in a small corner, there's a box where it can show. He's talking to Giovanni. He says that Giovanni tells him that she was up here to deliver money and other stuff for a friend. And again, he's been cooperating. He's not a suspect in this crime, but his independent investigation initially did not involve police that we're aware of until we reached out. He contacted us and we started having some of those conversations. Then he's been sharing information to the extent of what he's comfortable with.
Have you been able to figure out how many times Catherine has traveled from Homestead to the Central Florida area, in the past 2 months? Is this some sort of drug deal situation? Are you able to?
So the question about the drug meal situation would be purely speculation on her involvement at this time. And we don't have any prior record of her ever being in Seminole County prior to being a victim of this crime. And I think that a lot of those questions will be answered when we can obtain records from various phones and various devices to be able to see exactly who she was calling, what the community.
So we just watched 2 of them for sure. And I was having problems with, I think it's the second one. I was having problems finding that. So maybe they said a little bit more throughout there than what I was understanding. There's a lot of names involved. So it's sounding like she was possibly being a mule. And yeah, he's making the brother sound pretty shady. What the hell?
Communication was, what those cameras on interstates will tell us about the unique characteristics of the vehicle that she was driving in. So to answer your question, as far as we know now, at this part of the investigation, we don't know of any other time that she's ever been in Seminole County other than this particular. That absolutely may change when we get evidence in.
On that note, do you know how they were able to track her down at either the gas station or right after, whenever they caught up to her?
Obviously, they knew exactly who was in that car. This was a targeted event. How long they followed her, how they tracked her down is still something that we're investigating right now. We don't know how far, how long, the methods that they would use, but
I'll see if I can find that second one again, and we'll go through it if I can find it.
with the success and the progress of this investigation, I'm sure we'll know those answers pretty quickly. But right now, at this point, we don't know.
Is there any update about the involvement of the Orange County deputy in this situation?
The Orange County deputy situation, I think, is done from our perspective. We'll continue to look at his phone and computer to see if there's any pattern of doing this. But again, we charged him. We think that the charges are appropriate. We know that he's out on bond right now, but there's been no new updates in that case since Monday when I briefed you last.
Do you think the brother could become a target of whoever targeted his sister, and should he be seeking protection?
Well, I don't want to anticipate who's going to be a target. I know that there's some bad players and bad actors that are doing incredibly dangerous things with this. So I encourage anybody who feels like that they may be in harm's way to come to us for some level of protection. Tell us what you know. Contact Crime Line if you feel less comfortable coming to the police. So that's where we're at. So let me just kind of recap, because I know people will come in halfway through this and some may not have heard the previous press conferences, but this is the third press conference. Investigative follow-up. We know that when our victim, Catherine, was traveling to Seminole County, she was on the phone on a FaceTime type of call with a person now identified as Giovanni. Giovanni was identified through the use of technology to a faces imaging software program that basically looks at every booking image that has occurred and compares it to that. It matched at a 96.8% to a 2019 booking photo at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Giovanni lives at a location with his girlfriend, Soto, in Castleberry. We attained a search warrant after establishing probable cause, executed that search warrant, found trafficking amounts of fentanyl and one gun not believed related to this particular crime or the Orange County crime. At the same time that we were executing the search warrant, Soto accepted delivery with a controlled delivery from HSI after 3 kilos of cocaine was sent through the mail, sent to a location in Osceola County, and she went there and picked that up and was ultimately arrested for doing that. They're there. We're asking for the public's help and assistance with locating Giovanni. His name, his date of birth, and his photograph are on the screen right there. He is on the run. We want to know where he's at, and we want to bring him into custody. On the car side, the car was sold and never properly licensed with a license plate at a buy here, pay here dealership. A person who does not speak English walks in. He's with another person who is better with English, and they communicate the sale. He identifies himself during that encounter and leading up to that encounter with a Facebook profile that has an image of him appearing to wear the exact same thing that was seen on the video that was captured of the kidnapping that we've witnessed time and time again. Exact same clothing. His name that he's used is Jordan LaTroy. He gives a phone number. The phone number matches a database back in Orange County in a burglary case, and the phone number comes back to a legitimate name, Jordanish Torres Garcia. And even the alias has some version of his legitimate name in that. He was arrested today afternoon on a federal violation of probation warrant for a gun charge, not for this case. We're listing him as a person of interest, as strong as you can get as a person of interest. And I'm sure that as evidence comes in, we will update what his status is and what we're actually calling him. So that's the update for today. I want to again thank our partners, both with the media, the local, state, and federal, and specifically thank the detectives of the Seminole County Sheriff's Office who quite literally have been working this nonstop. Sometimes we say that it's a little embellished. They have been taking turns sleeping so they can work this case both day and night. And I think that when you look at the progress here and you compare it to progress that may have occurred with something across the country, and consider that really evidence of phones and all of this hasn't even come back yet, it's nothing short of something to be proud of. But this is something that our entire community is frightened by. And I want everyone to know how important this is to us to make sure that these people are held accountable to the fullest extent of the law.
Absolutely.
So with that, any other questions?
Are investigators concerned?
This is unreal. So a family affair? Unreal. Husbands being looked at, brothers being looked at. There's rugs involved. Oh my word.
That the brother could potentially be tampering with evidence as he conducts his own investigation?
And I think I've got the right one, Mom. If I've got the wrong one, let me know. But I think I've got the right one. I appreciate it. You are a love.
You're saying he's accessing Catherine's social media, her iCloud account. I mean, could you do things when you're accessing stuff? Is there a concern there?
So no concern about tampering with evidence. The way it works is we have forensic examiners where people who think that they can erase it, you just don't erase it, right? We've got wonderful technology. Anybody who's an expert in this field knows that we have the ability to kind of piece things back together. So we feel incredibly comfortable with the evidence that we will be able to collect as it comes in. But at the same time, we still want to encourage people who know, look, these people are living lives, right? People who know about these individuals, who have seen things, who know things. We want them to step forward and provide whatever information they can.
And there was one more person in the carjacking case, right? There was potentially Jordan, the one in the sweater, and somebody, a second suspect. Can you tell us anything more about that?
I wish I could tell you more about the other person that was inside the car that was driving that car. We just don't know at this time. That's going to kind of come together. But again, this is why we want the public to say, look, we think that we've identified probably the guy that got out. But the guy that's inside the car, we want any information about that as well.
So you're looking for the unidentified suspect in jail right now?
Correct.
The incident report mentioned a witness who saw someone in the Acura wave in a friendly way, according to the incident report to Kathleen before the Acura started following. Based on that, the investigators believe that she knew that person had this relationship.
I don't have that information. I haven't seen that information, and I don't know if she actually knew him or not. I doubt that they would wear a mask and do this and just like wave at him. Not wearing a mask, it doesn't make much sense, right? So I would have to kind of look at that, but I don't know if she knew them or not. But I do believe that as a part of this investigation, we'll find out if she actually had dealings with them or knew them. It's quite possible, right? I just don't know at this time.
And at this point, the husband is no longer a person of interest. We remain on the same.
Well, I never put him as a person of interest. I've said he and her brother, Lewis, are cooperating, but I'm incredibly skeptical of their level of cooperation, right? But I'm still identifying them as witnesses and people who are working with us. They've never been listed as a person of interest. They've never been listed as a suspect. But I think that the court of popular opinion has come to their own conclusions about what they know, what they don't know, and what their involvement is. But as far as the investigation goes, I have not identified them as a person of interest or suspect in this case. Jordan is from Puerto Rico, we believe. We know that his crimes were in Puerto Rico. We know that he had connections back there, but where he was born, I'm not sure of right now. Likely Puerto Rico, but I don't know.
Can we get photos from him?
Yes. We're going to release it in the media pack. I don't have it right here in front of me. So with that, again, thank you. Any additional updates, we'll be happy to prepare that. And again,
All righty. So I hope this is the right one. Let me see here. I'll have to go back. Is that online? This is the one. Okay.
Thank you so much for coming out for an update on the murder investigation involving Catherine Aguas-Vivas that happened on April 11th, which has been widely covered. Two large updates that I'll provide today, and at the end, I'll open myself for any questions. As I've said in the early briefings of this is this ongoing investigation, and I think that timely delivery, as much information as we can, is incredibly important. The first is we're no longer looking for a green 2002 Acura. We've located that vehicle. The circumstances leading up to that are one that I'll describe out now, that the car was legitimately owned by a family in Winter Springs. They sold that to a legitimate car dealership back in December. Sold the car or traded the car in. As car dealerships typically do, they traded off to an auto auction. They went to an auto auction and then ultimately was purchased by a buy here, pay here owner operator who sold it from their lot in Seminole County. They sold it. It was still titled to the original owners in Winter Springs. It had not had enough time to work out the transfer of title. and the people who purchased the car never came back to finish the additional paperwork. They still owed the person money. So the car has been out on the streets probably since February, unregistered, undocumented with a license plate. Any license plate that it had on at any given time was just temporarily put on, largely from a stolen tag. What's unique about a 2002 green Acura in the state of Florida, there were only 3 in the state of Florida. 2 had been salvaged and only 1 existed in the state. When we look at records, the first time authorities came in contact with this was when it was towed on March 19th from an Orlando apartment complex. The car was backed in, parked illegally, probably had no tag on it at the time, and it was towed from an Orange County apartment complex on March 19th. The tow truck driver of that particular tow of this vehicle was a murder victim in Orange County that happened 1 day before our kidnapping murder. April 10th, a tow truck driver was murdered in Orange County. At that scene, a green vehicle matching the description of this green vehicle was located, and there was more than 100 rounds fired at that location. One of the rounds found at the scene were 10mm rounds, which is, again, an incredibly unique and uncommon round for us to see out on the streets. As you can imagine.
So they're saying that there is also rare rounds being used. That there is a little bit scary all on its own. Hola.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office, this is their case. They've been working this thing aggressively, and they have been partnering with our organization on the murder investigation that we're looking into with Catherine to connect the dots between the 2 locations. We were able to locate this vehicle just recently on Saturday, April 13th, 1 day after we had the news conference announcing that we were investigating a murder. It once again was parked and abandoned in an Orange County apartment complex and was towed through a contractual tow service. When a tow service tows a vehicle that is illegally parked in an apartment complex, they have a responsibility to contact either the tag or through VIN to report into a system. That is how the VIN number was identified. Again, the VIN number was unique because there was only 1 2002 green Acura left in the state of Florida. When the VIN number ran, we immediately knew it was our car. That vehicle then was collected, transferred to the Orange County Sheriff's Office to be evaluated for evidence with the Orange County team and the Seminole County team. So no longer looking for the car. We still are looking for information about people who are occupants in the car, whether at the Orange County case or our case. That part of the process is ongoing. But again, we want to thank everyone's help who have called in, reached out to Crime Line, done whatever, and especially the media for getting that information out. Second part that I want to brief up on is an Orange County deputy was arrested by the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. Francisco Estrella was arrested last night by our agency. Now, when this initial report of the kidnapping was made, our detectives saw, as the public saw, the phone number on the rear window of that vehicle. When we called that phone number in the early stages of the investigation, the decedent's husband picked up the phone, came back to him. We identified ourselves. We had one of our detectives say who we were, what we were looking at, and that's how we disclosed that we were working a kidnapping case. Both the decedent's wife, Miguel, and her brother, Louis, who live in Homestead, provided whatever information they could on the phone and then agreed to travel up here to Seminole County. As they were traveling up here to Seminole County, Miguel and Louis reached out to a mutual friend, a childhood friend, as it's described, who happens to be the Orange County deputy's wife. The wife of the Orange County deputy reached out and said, I've been contacted by this person who's identified by name as a detective with the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. Can you find out whatever information you can about this particular person? The deputy then picks up the phone, calls our detective and gives a false name and identifies himself as a detective with the Orange County Sheriff's Office, wanting to get information about this case. Later in that conversation, he actually says he's a deputy sheriff, but for the entire time, he's giving a fake name as he's communicating with our folks. And our detectives obviously thought that communication was strange, especially the timeliness of it, just hours after we have identified that we're working a homicide case here. In addition to that, we knew that the Orange County deputy and wife accessed illegally the Florida David system and pulled up the unique characteristics, home address, photographs, signatures of our primary detective working the case. And all of the communication between the Orange County deputy and our detective working the case was then recorded, all communicated back to the decedent's husband, who was on his way here. When he was here, I had mentioned in the briefing on Friday that he has been cooperative. He has provided, to the extent that he feels comfortable with, what was going on Friday. I think when I laid out those circumstances, I said that her vehicle was being rammed by the vehicle behind her. They didn't call 911. He didn't call 911. And then her phone looked like it was immediately turned off after that. So he's on his way up here. He is contacting whoever he can, and he cooperates to the extent that he feels comfortable with. Part of that cooperation is he gives us his phone. We ask for his phone. He gives us his phone. We forensically examine that phone, and that's how we found the communication between the Orange County deputy and his wife and him. It came through the examination of that phone. That is why he has now been charged with 5 felonies here in Seminole County. 2 of those felonies deal with recording and releasing the audio file of the detective's conversation with him. 2 of those charges relate to unlawfully accessing a police database, and particularly the David system that released unique characteristics of the home address, photograph and signatures of the lead investigator in this case. And then the last charge is the use of a 2-way communication device in the commission of these felonies. He has just gone through first appearance at 2:00 here in Seminole County today. I don't know any of the details about what happened during that first appearance hearing. We were working with our detectives on the inside here. So a lot of updates. We still have incredibly dangerous people that are out there on the streets. We still want to encourage our public to again, not approach these individuals. They should be perceived.
How terrifying is this? Just pulls up and walks up to the vehicle in front of him. I mean, it's terrifying.
As armed and dangerous. Anybody who has any information about the occupants of this incredibly rare vehicle here in the state of Florida should contact authorities, either the Orange County Sheriff's Office or the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, or if you feel more comfortable, Crime Line, where you could be eligible for a reward and remain anonymous as we go. Again, with that, I'll open for any questions about the additional information that we're briefing on today.
Sheriff, just to clarify here, are you suggesting that this investigation that you're doing is connected to the Taft shooting that happened last week, where the guy was shot up in front of the house with all those bullets? Is that the one that you're referencing?
So it's either connected or it's a heck of a coincidence, right? I think that what we need to do is to make sure that physical evidence and evaluation and reports can positively make that connection. But what we do know now is this vehicle, our suspect's vehicle by unique VIN number, was towed back on March 19th from the murder victim. At the scene, there are more than 100 rounds, but a good percentage of those rounds on the ground are 10 millimeter, the gun used in the murder of our victim that we found burnt up in the vehicle in Osceola County. So I absolutely think they're connected, but we'll have to have physical evidence that absolutely proves that.
When that shooting
Wow,
happened,
guys.
again, there's a lot of moving parts here, so I want to make sure for clarity. That car wasn't on the scene in Taft last Wednesday. That car was towed 2 or 3 weeks before then, right?
And then released. So what we have, and I don't want to get too far into the Orange County investigation, although they are working hand in glove with our detectives here, but a green vehicle was seen at that location. It seems like it was towed back in March, ultimately released on the scene of this particular crime. So we think the green vehicle was there at the murder scene.
In the Orange County murder scene?
Yes.
Secondly, so this conversation with this deputy to your detectives, recording without that detective's permission, sharing with the husband, clearly you guys have filed criminal charges in that case. Has this impeded your investigation, in your opinion?
So you know, we're talking about the deputy's involvement. It has no negative involvement in our investigation, but absolutely creates a dangerous environment for our deputies and our staff. You know, we know that this deputy relayed this information to the decedent's husband, Miguel. But at this point in time, we don't know who else he may have shared that information with. And I think that any person who's ever turned on the TV, you know, seen the things that are incredibly challenging out there and find out the unique, bizarre characteristics of these cases, I don't know that any of us will want our names and our home addresses released, especially if we had a responsibility to enforce and hold the violators of this accountable. So I think we're incredibly concerned, but the involvement of the Orange County deputy does not slow us down at all and does not have negative effect on the case that we're working.
Do you know what he was trying to do? What was that deputy trying to gain from going that up?
Well, that's going to be a great part of what I hope the ongoing investigation is, both here and I know independently Orange County would conduct their own administrative investigation. But, you know, we know that, or we believe that they were childhood friends. Of course, there was a relationship with there, but what they had to gain is something that I'm incredibly interested in. Why would somebody do this? Why would they put their own job and life on the line to communicate with one of our detectives, to give an alias in the process? Now he's been an Orange County deputy for 1 year, but to give an alias in the process, never knowing that Miguel, the decedent's husband, is going to release his phone. That would, if he even released the phone, I don't know we would ever know this. So this is it's incredibly frightening, and but I suspect we'll find a lot more about this as the investigation goes on. This is just last night we arrested him.
Forgive me if you said this and I missed it trying to follow this all. How much detail did your investigators give this deputy, or non-detailed?
Yeah. So as soon as our detectives received this call from the Orange County detective, as he called himself, they were immediately on alert and very suspicious of the communication, and really gave him nothing, absolutely nothing. But as soon as that happened and they hung up the phone, trust me, that was a topic of conversation in the room. What was that about? This stands out and is incredibly suspicious. When they later contacted the Orange County Sheriff's Office, they're like, we don't have a deputy with that last name nor a detective, but we have a phone number that is connected with somebody. Actually, interestingly enough, he gave the same first name, but just gave a different last name.
Given the extreme details of both of these situations that we're now potentially talking about, have your detectives or Orange County's detectives uncovered any possibility that this is either gang or cartel connected?
Well, I think that any person who looks at these circumstances would automatically go there. And our investigation is also exploring any possibilities of that. But at this point in time, I'm not ready to turn that rock over and disclose whether or not we're going to do that. Trust me, when and if that becomes a topic here. You'll see me standing right here and telling as much information as you can. But when you look at this thing, I mean, this is right out of a television show, right? You see this thing. There's a lot of bizarre circumstances here, and now to have this vehicle connected, unique characteristics.
I mean, this is like a massive spider web. What's going on here? Cops, tow truck drivers, people from out of state, rugs. Good Lord.
The rareness of the vehicle. So, I mean, not yet.
In the arrest paperwork for the Orange County deputy, the word cousin came up, that he was in some way a cousin of the woman who was carjacked, then later found in Osceola County. You believe that's her. You're saying a family friend. Was he throwing around the word cousin to try to gain credibility, or was there actually a relationship?
Dave, I don't know if there's an actual relationship. What I'm finding with this particular case, there's a lot of referring to friends as family. I gave a news conference on Friday, and I said we have not been able to locate any family members in the area. We now have since located, we believe, two, one in Volusia County and one in Osceola County. Neither one of them were expecting a visit from her, and where she was at was nowhere near where they're at. So I don't know if they're biologically related, if they're related through marriage, or they're just close friends that call themselves cousins. We're not at that point yet where we can identify that. We do believe that they grew up together, possibly in the Dominican Republic, before coming over here. So that's largely the decedent's husband and the deputy's wife.
Have you yet figured out why, in fact, she was here?
Well, we have no idea why she's here. We know that she was here for less than an hour. We have no evidence of her ever being in Seminole County ever before. We believe that she was absolutely targeted and followed to a certain extent, to a certain point. And I think that one of the most important things that for us to get out on Friday was this was not a random act of violence that occurred,
Which I guess is good to know, that it's not random. But at the same time, you can see how fast something like this can happen.
Absolutely was targeted. Why she was targeted, I think, is something that our detectives are working aggressively to be able to answer that question. Of course, when you're in this business, you have speculations, you have hunches, you have feelings, but you never let those arrive at the lectern before you can put some evidence behind it. So again, they're going to turn every rock over to find out.
The husband, he mentioned something about receiving any threats.
So I've described the husband as cooperative. Quite frankly, I think he knows a lot more than what he shared, right? You don't have your wife communicate with you that you're getting rammed by a car and go 2 hours without calling anybody. So he has cooperated. He has provided information. I think the initial story was that she was up here to visit family members. I don't know that we believe that. He did give his cell phone, which I'm incredibly grateful, because we would not have known about the Orange County deputy, at least not yet, if he did not do that. But I think that there's a lot more blanks that he could help fill in about the circumstances involving this particular crime, and now potentially other crimes.
Is he a person of interest in what happened earlier?
He is not. He is still the husband of our decedent and working with our detectives. He is not a person of interest.
You said the 10 millimeter that was found, that's not really common around here.
Yeah.
What does that say? Or is that worrisome for you guys that like a weapon or a casing was found that's really not common?
You know, the caliber of the weapon is not worrisome, right? The fact that there's 100 rounds, regardless of what rounds they are, at a murder scene, I think is incredibly alarming to any person who ever looks at it. A 10 millimeter is just, you know, a round that is more rare than the 9 millimeters or the 45 calibers that we see out there. The only significance of that is it makes a better connection between the two crimes. That because of the rareness of the weapon and the round, that it's likely that our bad guys are the same bad guys that committed this crime. And you got to remember that this vehicle for 2 months, February into April, was probably being tossed around. Now, I know people are going to say, well, just find out who picked up the car and all that. But, you know, they send people who are innocent parties and they say, hey, I need you to go down there and pick up this vehicle. I'm going to give you $500, $1,000, pick it up. So it's not as simple as just look for the guy who did that. But again, our detectives are working on that. Who purchased it? Who made the deal? Who went to the buy here, pay here store? But these are more sophisticated criminal operations, and this one appears to be pretty significant. But
husband, sorry.
yeah, I'm going to go first. I'm going to go. But I think that when you look at between Friday and now, there's a lot of different pieces to the puzzles that are coming together. Now you go.
Is the husband facing any charge for the connection with the deputy?
No, the husband is not a person of interest and not a suspect, and not likely to be charged in this case at this point. But I may come up here tomorrow with a whole new information based upon somebody who's watching this video, somebody who has some additional information, or connecting some case evidence to other cases that may be out there. Again, but to recap, we have the car. The car's in evidence. The car is being processed. Actually, it's I mean, it's good that we have the car, right? You potentially can get some evidence from it, but we'll see where that goes. Okay.
This is such a confusing thing. I just want to make sure that this is kind of for my clarity. You're saying this deputy sheriff in Orange County contacted your detective, recorded that conversation illegally, and then passed it on to the husband to kind of keep him up to date on what your investigation was doing.
Yeah. So our detective calls the phone number. The husband of the decedent answers the phone and then reaches out to a family friend close to law enforcement, the wife of the deputy. And then literally sitting in their home, they call our deputy. They record that communication to our deputy, probably doing it on speakerphone or something like that, so all the communication can be heard. Then the deputy accesses his unique police system, pulls up as much information about our detective that they just recorded on the phone, takes photographs of that, and sends it to the husband before he ever arrives here for the interview. So he's on his way up here with her brother. And at the time that they're driving here, they're getting fed all this information from the Orange County deputy. Here's where she lives. Here's the detective's name. Here's a recording of our conversation. So he's feeding all that information back. Why? We're going to find out. But any other questions?
I don't want to go into specifics here, but is it safe to assume your office is taking measures to protect your detective right now?
Yeah, that's a great point. So, I mean, our detective is protected. The detective is pretty tough by themselves, but we have additional units and sections. The last place that anybody would want to go is around this detective right now. I can promise you that.
Why is all that information there to begin with? Is the information on every detective in that system?
Well, every citizen. It's actually your driver's license system. You know, we've had some reports of misuse of what's called the David system, the driver's license information system. And this is a prime example of misusing it, not just from an average citizen, but for a law enforcement official working this particular case. So
is the police in Homestead involved in the investigation? I mean, search warrant over there?
We're not doing any search warrants. Again, the husband is not a suspect, but the authorities down there in South Florida have been helpful and have been partners with us as we move throughout this case. Again, we're not working any criminal case down there. But if we do, I promise you're going to be the second to know behind our team. So.
Any message for anybody that was potentially connected? I mean, they went after the tow truck driver potentially weeks after he towed this car. Are you worried that there might be others out there that need to get in touch with you because they could be in harm's way right now?
Yeah, I think that the question is, you know, could there be others that are in harm's way? I hope that somebody that's listening and seeing this, that feels like that they may be in harm's way, to contact us and tell us everything that they possibly know.
This is one great big, as I said, spider web from HE double hockey sticks. Like, who is not involved in this? Whoa.
And seek a safe haven of protection with coming forward and disclosing as much information as they possibly can. But again, we're going to backtrack and connect some of the cases that are open in probably a lot of different jurisdictions, and be mindful of kind of the aftermath of how this thing evolves. So that's today's update. I appreciate it, and talk to you guys soon.
Okay, so let's see here. 4 days ago. So we're not going to go there. We are going to go, I'm going to jump over here.
5 News starts now with breaking news.
A crack in a carjacking case. The man you see here holding a rifle and carjacking a woman is believed to be in custody. The Seminole County Sheriff is calling him a strong person of interest in this case. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. I'm Marlisa Goldsmith.
And I'm John Brown. The sheriff gave us an update on this case this afternoon. Now, it is confusing. There's a lot of names. There's a lot of dates. So we're going to walk through how we got to this point. So let's take a look at how it all started. We're talking last week on Wednesday. That's when a tow truck driver was shot and killed in the Taft neighborhood in Orange County. Detectives will only say that
You see, so we are looking at two. I thought I had heard something about a tow truck operator throughout this. And yeah, sure enough.
this murder is connected, but they aren't saying why or how. Then, not even 24 hours later, Catherine Aguas Vivas was violently carjacked at an intersection in Winter Springs. This, by the way, was that video that went viral as she was taken at gunpoint. Her car was found torched with the body inside. Now, again, a lot to follow, a lot of names connected to this case, which brings us back to a couple of men who made news today. The one in custody right now is a person of interest. Jordan Torres Garcia is the person who the sheriff believes carjacked the woman. The second person is Giovanni Crespo. He's still on the run. So we're going to head out to Fox 35's Patrick Perez. So Patrick, do we know yet how all of these people are somehow connected?
Well, John, if you have been tracking this case since last week, you know that this case is a complicated one. So far, it looks like a lot of people involved, but it really does seem like investigators are so much closer now to finally solving this case. Here's what we've learned today, John. The sheriff says Giovanni Crespo was one of the last people Catherine Aguas Vivas spoke with on the day of the carjacking. Investigators learned that after her brother went through her iCloud and saw his information on there, he ended up FaceTiming Crespo and then took a screenshot. He then sent that screenshot to detectives who were then able to match the man in that screenshot with the mugshot of Crespo from back in 2019. He's now wanted on drug charges after deputies found fentanyl in a home that he shared with a woman after carrying out a search warrant. That woman was arrested yesterday and accused of trafficking cocaine. And now let's go back to Jordanis Torres Garcia. Investigators learned
So this is going to be very, very interesting to see how this all turns out. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? A little bit spooky, I would think, actually passing these spots. I mean, like I said earlier, you could cover Florida 24/7 and still have information and cases out there that haven't been touched. I don't know what is going on or if this is normal, but it's spooky. It's spooky. And I don't know how you keep safe from something like this. I truly don't.
he communicated via Facebook with the dealership that sold the green Acura.
With that said, this is looking like it's targeted. People don't have to be stressing out that someone's out there going for randos. I think this was targeted.
In that viral video that we all saw of that carjacking, notice the sweater he's wearing in his Facebook profile picture. The sheriff says that sweater matches the same sweater as the man seen carjacking Aguas Vivas in that video, but they have not yet been able to confirm it's the same man. Still, they're listing him as a person of interest. He's now in custody, being questioned as he was wanted on gun charges in an unrelated case.
We're listing him as a person of interest, as strong as you can get as a person of interest. And I'm sure that as evidence comes in, we will update what his status is and what we're actually calling him.
And Sheriff Lima says right now they are waiting on cell phone videos, evidence, all sorts of information to hopefully help investigators connect the final dots in this case. But at least for now, we know that they do have in custody the man believed to have carjacked Aguas Vivas. And now there's a warrant out for the arrest of the man Aguas Vivas last spoke with while she was traveling here to Central Florida before eventually calling her husband when she felt that she was being trailed. John.
Yeah, Patrick, I know a lot of people are confused. So many names, so many places here. So have investigators figured out why Aguas Vivas traveled from South Florida up to our area yet?
Yeah, so John, you may recall in the early stages of this that Sheriff Lima had mentioned that supposedly, according to what the husband told investigators, she was coming up here to visit family. At the time, they say they couldn't find any family for her. They have now been able to confirm that she does in fact have at least 2 family members here in Central Florida. But here's the thing. Both of those family members told detectives they were not expecting her. Now, this is what's interesting. According to what her brother told detectives,
So that is very, very interesting. They were not expecting her, and now we're getting all of this stuff that we're hearing about rugs being involved and large amounts of cash, possibly.
after speaking with Crespo, which is now that wanted man, via FaceTime, Crespo claims that Aguas Vivas was here to deliver money and other stuff for a friend. Sheriff Lima did not go into any detail or elaborate on what that stuff is. John.
All right, thanks a lot, Patrick.
Fox 35 News starts now with.
Okay, this is just fast. Let's take a fast look.
And a local business owner was shot outside of a home in Orange County.
West 2's Tony Atkins shows us how his death factors into this unfolding investigation.
Juan Garcia was young, just 39 years old when he was killed in a shooting last week in Taft. He also was the owner of JL Towing here in Orlando, a manager with the company.
So they're saying, well, Mom was just explaining that this happened on the Wednesday and she happened on the Thursday.
He confirmed he was the owner of the business. He didn't want to go on camera, but says it's tough for everyone, and he's just going to focus on the business as he lets the justice system take its course. Garcia was killed at a house just before 10 o'clock Wednesday night, one day before Catherine Aguas Vivas was kidnapped in a separate crime. At the house, deputies say more than 100 shell cases were found, and we personally saw more than 80 markers ourselves from just outside the house. And
whoa, look at that. Holy, guys.
Crime scene. Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima says the green Acura seen in this video showing the kidnapping was the same vehicle Garcia and his company towed from an Orange County apartment complex at some point last month. Sheriff Lima says rounds found both at the scene of Garcia's murder and where Aguas Vivas' body was found in Osceola County matched one another.
At the scene, there are more than 100 rounds, but a good percentage of those rounds on the ground are 10 millimeter, the gun used in the murder of our victim that we found burnt up in the vehicle in Osceola County. So I absolutely think they're connected, but we'll have to have physical evidence that absolutely proves that.
And we did reach out to the Orange County Sheriff's Office for an update in the Taft shooting this morning. At last check, the suspects are still out there. Reporting in Orlando, Tony Atkins, West 2 News.
Whoa. Lordy, lordy. Lordy, lordy.
Deputies have now identified a person of interest in a deadly carjacking case. That person was arrested on unrelated charges, and tonight investigators are still looking for another person who might be involved.
That's right. West 2's Paola Tristan Arruda begins our team coverage in Seminole County with what we have learned about the people that are linked to this investigation.
This is one of those cases where there are many people involved and a lot happening at once. During a news conference today, Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima tried to fill in some of the gaps in this very complicated investigation.
And I want everyone to know how important this is to us to make sure that these people are held accountable to the fullest extent of the law.
A major update in an armed carjacking and murder case as the sheriff announced a person of interest was in custody. 28-year-old Jordanish Torres Garcia was arrested just after noon Friday on unrelated charges. Deputies found a connection between Torres Garcia and a green Acura that was used during the carjacking. On April 11th, 31-year-old Catherine Aguas Vivas was carjacked, kidnapped, and murdered. One of the key points in this case is a video recording of the incident showing a green Acura stop behind a white Dodge Durango being driven by Aguas Vivas. A man wearing a mask who appeared to have a gun got out of the car and got into the victim's vehicle.
The car was sold and never properly licensed with a license plate at a buy here, pay here dealership.
Sheriff Lima said the green Acura was advertised on Facebook Marketplace, and Torres Garcia reached
Facebook Marketplace. There's a lot of stuff that they do sideways on Facebook Marketplace. Good God, Martha.
out and showed up to the dealership
Wow.
to buy it. His Facebook profile photo appeared to have the same clothes as the alleged shooter involved in the carjacking case. And a phone number the dealer had for him matched an Orange County burglary report for Torres Garcia. A second person of interest has been identified as 27-year-old Giovanni Joel Crespo Hernandez. Aguas Vivas' brother gave investigators information that Crespo Hernandez may have been the last person Aguas Vivas talked to before the carjacking happened.
We're asking for the public's help and assistance with locating Giovanni. We want to know where he's at, and we want to bring him into custody.
This case is also connected to a shooting in Orange County that killed a tow truck driver. Investigators couldn't provide an update on that connection today, but the sheriff says they are still waiting on evidence from phone records and other documents, and they are still searching for another person who was in that green Acura when the carjacking happened. In Seminole County, Paola Trisneruda, WESH 2 News.
Well,
Wow.
Hey ladies, we are giving out free Dove samples.
No, thank you. So absolutely, at least one person in that vehicle. Absolutely. Hmm. So is there somebody behind actually getting this footage? There they go. Brutal. In the middle of a busy intersection in Florida before deleting her and setting her remains on fire inside of the stolen vehicle. 31 years old of Homestead. Just before 6 p.m. on April 11th. So it was a witness in the car behind her, filmed the frightening daytime confrontation, and later called 911. Shows a man in a ski mask and black hoodie get out of an Acura sedan and approach the driver's side of Guerrero's Dodge Durango, pointing a 10mm weapon at her. She unlocks the doors and a man climbs into the rear driver's side door. Remains believed to be Guerrero's were found in a badly charred car hours later, and police continue to hunt for the suspects in the brutal deleting. What a beautiful young girl. Investigators believe the suspect ordered Guerrero to drive to a construction site where a badly burnt vehicle was found later that day with a body inside. Incredibly frightening to watch the boldness of this suspect, this perpetrator getting out of the car, wearing a hood, carrying a weapon in broad daylight. In a 911 call released by the sheriff's office, the witness urges, "You need to do something because I don't know what is going on." Less than 2 hours after the carjacking, police received reports of shots and smoke in Osceola County. That's where the charred vehicle, believed to be the Dodge Durango, was found at the construction site, where the body inside has yet to undergo a formal DNA identification. Dozens of 10-millimeter shell casings and one projectile were also found at the scene. We do feel and believe that this was not a random act of violence, that the perpetrators knew exactly who they were going after and why they were going after them. She is originally from the Dominican Republic and was a U.S. citizen, lived with her husband in the Miami suburb of Homestead, where the pair worked at a barbershop and beauty salon. Oh, my word. This happened just 4 days short of her 32nd birthday. So this is the suspect vehicle, and this is her vehicle that they are saying that they have found, more than likely, that vehicle found with remains in the back. Moments before stopping at a red light, Guerrero called her husband and told him that the Acura was following her and ramming into her SUV. Investigators believe she was forced by the man with the weapon to drive to that construction site, and the suspect was familiar with that area. So they added that Guerrero nor her husband called the police at the time of the incident. There's lots of unknowns and a lot of things that will leave people scratching their heads. I'll say, why did she call her husband, not 911? Why did she stop at the red light? There's a lot of things we'll absolutely never know. Lordy. The sheriff noted that Guerrero's husband had cooperated with the police and has no criminal record in the U.S. Wow. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so I'm going to bump this up just a hair. I probably have to do it with each one. Thank you, Mom, for the documents. I appreciate you. Okay, so this is a cop. Francisco Alberto Estrella Chacon, October 16, 1990. He was born 5'10", 175 pounds, brown eyes and brown hair, and gives his last address. So, offenses: interception and disclosure of wire, oral, or electronic communications. 2, disclosure of wire, oral, and electronic communications. Disclosure of use and confidential. Lordy, lordy. So, Mom, do we know much other than what I am going to be showing about this cop? You would know. You're the girl. Unlawful use of two-way communication device, and 5, accessing computer and electronic devices without authorization or exceeding authorization. Okay. And 2. I had a hard time downloading this, so We did it page by page. Supervision, instructor techniques, FDLE, field training office, homicide and death investigations, tactical entry and search warrant, service training, vehicle assault extraction training, police mountain bike certification, radar laser operator, and multiple leadership conferences and seminars. During your affiant's career as patrol deputy, field training deputy, SNP sergeant, detective sergeant assigned to IPCU, and sergeant assigned to CCIB, your affiant has been involved in investigating a multitude of crimes that include numerous violations pertaining to Chapter 893 of Florida statutes. Let me bump it up again. Your affiant has made approximately 600 career rug-related arrests and approximately 1,200 total career arrests, which include rug trafficking, sale and delivery of controlled substances, manufacturing controlled substances, simple rug possession, vice, working girl-related offenses, smuggling/introduction of contraband into detention facility. Your affiant is thoroughly familiar with the laws of the state of Florida prohibiting these offenses and has initiated countless investigations related to rug and vice-related crimes. Your affiant has participated in numerous long-term rug trafficking investigations and including several Title III wiretap cases targeting rug trafficking organizations operating in Seminole County. Furthermore, your affiant has been tasked with leading and assisting criminal investigations regarding police corruption on multiple occasions in the past. During your affiant's career in law enforcement, your affiant has received instruction and training from other law enforcement officers, investigators, rug agents, and prosecutors regarding rug and corruption-related investigations. Probable cause. April 11th, 2024, at approximately, I'm going to say 5:45, the Seminole County Sheriff's Office responded to a report of a possible armed carjacking and napping that took place at the intersection of East Lake Drive and Tuscaloosa Road, unincorporated Winter Springs, Seminole County, Florida. The Seminole County Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Unit, MCU, ultimately responded to the scene and assumed control of the investigation, which also now progressed into active homicide investigation. The victim in the incident was identified as Catherine Altagracia Guerrero de la Rosa. One of the primary investigators responsible for the investigation, the incident in Seminole County Sheriff's Office, Detective Lillian, Agransonia Sinai Mesa. The original case number for the armed carjacking incident is documented under Seminole County Sheriff's Office incident and gives the incident number. Catherine Guerrero was ultimately found hot to death, and she and her vehicle were set on fire in Osceola County. Catherine was found at approximately 7 p.m. on April 11th, 2024, a few hours after the carjacking occurred in Seminole County. Detective Agransonia, as part of her duties as a major crimes investigator, contacted the husband of the victim, Miguel Agenvivas. I don't know how to pronounce these names. I'm massacring them, you guys. and the victim's brother, Luis Fernando. So the husband and the brother agreed to travel to Seminole County Sheriff's Office from Homestead, Florida, to be interviewed on April 11th, 2024 at approximately 22:59 hours, so just about 11 o'clock. Approximately 4 hours after Catherine was discovered hot to death and set on fire, Detective Agansoni received a phone call from When Detective Agansoni answered, a male on the phone identified himself as a detective and maternal cousin of Catherine Guerrero. Detective Agansoni asked the male to confirm his identity, and he stated that his name was Francisco Archuela, a deputy with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. The male stated he was concerned. Bump it up. Okay, is this 3? Before me, Deputy Sheriff Tim Kinkle? I'm not sure. I'll see if I can find it. A law enforcement officer personally appeared, Sergeant Jackery Seal, who alleges that on April 11, 2024, in Seminole County, Florida, the defendant, Francisco Alberto Estrella Chacon, in violation of Florida statute, did commit a criminal offense of interception and disclosure of wire, oral, or electronic communications. Disclosure of wire, oral, or electronic communications, disclosure or use of confidential criminal justice information, unlawful use of a two-way communications device, and accessing computer or electronic devices without authorization or exceeding authorization. A third-degree felony in violation of sections, and then it gives the sections. Florida statutes, probable cause having been found upon sworn statement of Sergeant Zachary Seal of the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, who, being first duly sworn, deposes and says, your affiant, Sergeant Zachary Seal, is employed by the Seminole County Sheriff's Office as a duly sworn deputy sheriff and has been so since August 2010. Your affiant is currently assigned to Seminole County Sheriff's Office, City Council Investigation Bureau, CCIB, as Sergeant of the Rug Interception Unit and Human Trafficking Unit. Your affiant was previously assigned as a Sergeant of the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. In Progress Crime Unit, IPCU, from July of 2019 until February of 2022. Your affiant was assigned as a night shift patrol supervisor assigned to Seminole Neighborhood Policing from July 2016 until July of 2019. Furthermore, your affiant served as a field training deputy from 2013 to 2016 and a sworn deputy sheriff assigned to Seminole Neighborhood Policing from 2010 to 2016. Your affiant is certified law enforcement officer by the state police, Florida police, pursuant to the section of Florida state statutes. Your affiant attended a 770-hour Valencia Community College Basic Law Enforcement Academy in 2010. Your affiant studied the laws of Florida pertaining to burglary, theft, dealing with stolen property, crimes, substance investigations, robbery, and homicide prior to entering the law enforcement profession. Your affiant obtained a bachelor's in science in 2009 from the University of Central Florida with a degree in criminal justice. While attending the University of Central Florida, your affiant also worked as a civilian intern with the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, East Region, investigating burglary and property-related offenses. Your affiant attended and completed various training related to the detection and investigation of drugs and substances-related offenses, including but not limited to DEA, clandestine laboratory, high hazard level A certification, drug and criminal, what does that say? Introduction at 420? Happy 420. Gangs and the transnational rug threat. FSA, synthetic rug and fake. FLAKKA course. Mary Jane impaired driving certificate, interviews and interrogations, substances and dangerous rugs, and FEMA hazardous materials technician course. Furthermore, your affiant has attended additional law enforcement related courses and conferences, including the International Association of Human Trafficking Investigations, a unified command school. Okay. And thank you again for the documents. You're okay, Jazzy. Safety of his cousin Catherine. Did I put one of those in the wrong order? I might have. Safety of his cousin Catherine, and asked Detective Agransoni how the investigation was progressing. Detective Agransoni informed the Mail that this was an active investigation and that she should not disclose details or discuss the matter at that time. Detective Agransoni asked the Mail if he knew why Catherine was in the area, and he advised that he resides in Kissimmee and she resides in South Florida, so they don't speak to each other often. The Mail also stated that he queried Catherine Guerrero, presumably in FCIC, NCIC, and he informed Detective Agransoni that Catherine was not entered into the system as a missing person. Detective Agransoni advised that the Mail she would rectify that if it was not taken care of already. Then on April 12th, at approximately 13:53 hours, Detective Agransoni received another phone call from the same number and the same male, Francisco. Okay, we'll just say Francisco. Asking again about the progress of the investigation, Detective Agransoni advised him that she could not speak with him at the time and would call him back later. Detective Agransoni said he never called back. He never called him back. Catherine's husband, Miguel Miguel arrived in Seminole County Sheriff's Office, at which time he provided his cell phone to Major Crimes Investigation. This phone number does come back to him in law enforcement databases. Miguel consented to search of his phone by Seminole County Sheriff's Office, pursuant to which a digital extraction of the device was conducted by Seminole County Sheriff's Office Digital Forensics Unit. April 14th, while reviewing Miguel's phone extraction, Detective Agransoni found electronic communication through WhatsApp, a private messaging application between Miguel and Francisco. However, Francisco was listed in Miguel's phone as Francisco Estrella. In the message thread, A digital photo of Detective Agancino's business card was sent from Miguel's to Francisco's phone. In addition, a video recording was sent from Francisco to Miguel, which recorded Detective Agancini's conversation she had with Francisco under the pseudonym of Francisco with a different last name, as noted above. During her further review of the communications between them, Detective Agransoni found that Francisco Estrella utilized his agency access DAVID, Driver and Vehicle Information Database, to query Detective Agransoni. It should also be noted that Estrella is a uniformed patrol deputy and is not assigned to or involved with the investigation being conducted by the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. It's been verified with the Orange County Sheriff's Office that Estrella was not assigned or responsible for anything related to this investigation. And further, it's his use of the David, which unrelated to any legitimate criminal justice purpose, and therefore exceeded his authority to use David on his agency device. The message thread shows that Francisco Estrella sent a photograph of Detective Agransoni's driver's license profile, which included her photograph, her driver's license number, and full legal name. He sent this directly to Miguel. Following this message, Francisco Estrella then sent a photograph of the victim's license profile, Catherine Guerrero, which included her biographical information and official license photograph directly to Miguel. Detective Agansoni provided the cell phone extraction data to your affiant shortly after her discovery on April 14th, 2024. Your affiant examined the message thread and confirmed using law enforcement databases that the number communicating with Miguel is registered to Francisco Estrella. Upon your affiant's review of the video recording sent by Francisco Estrella of his conversation. Whoa. Just whoa. This is one hell of a puzzle, you guys. Like, what the hell is going on? So your affiant noted that Estrella sent the recording on April 11th at 5 after 11 at night. The video clip is 2 minutes and 54 seconds. This video was sent from Francisco Estrella to Miguel immediately after Estrella sent the David license profile to both Detective Agansoni and Catherine Guerrero. During your affiant's review of the recording, your affiant could clearly see Francisco's face as he talked to Detective Agansoni on speakerphone. Another individual suspected of being Francisco Estrella's girlfriend, or significant other, is video recording Estrella as he speaks to Detective Agransoni. Your affiant researched David and obtained the driver's license photo of Francisco Estrella and confirmed that the person speaking to Detective Agransoni is in fact the same person. Your affiant has spoke to Detective Agransoni many times in person and on the phone and confirmed the individual speaking during this video is in fact Detective Agransoni. Detective Agransoni advised your affiant that she never had any knowledge that their conversation was being recorded, nor did she give Francisco Estrella or anyone else in his company permission to record their conversation. Detective Agrinsani provided a sworn statement and signed affidavit of prosecution against Francisco Estrella. Upon review of the driver's license database, images sent by Estrella to Miguel, the online license profile of both Detective Agrinsani and Catherine Guerrero are visible in the image. Furthermore, at the top of the search bar of Estrella's computer, you can see that David is open and where the image came from. Furthermore, it appears that the image that Estrella was utilizing a law enforcement computer backlit keyboard commonly used by law enforcement officers to conduct queries of Detective Agrinsani's and Catherine Guerrero. Francisco Estrella sent Miguel the image of Detective Agrinsani's license profile at just before 11 o'clock, 22:59, which was the same time he was speaking with her on the phone. Estrella then sent Miguel the image of Catherine Guerrero's license profile 1 minute later at exactly 11 o'clock p.m. Estrella was confirmed to be sworn deputy sheriff with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Orange County Sheriff's Office personnel confirmed via audit of Estrella's David account and said he did access Detective Agrinsani's information and Catherine Guerrero's information. Your affiant has obtained a copy of the audit of the David search, which shows that Estrella did search Detective Agrinsani's name, by name, as well as Catherine Guerrero. Now, isn't that very interesting? Unreal. Unreal. Bad cops, unalived people, carjacking, and 2 people still on the run. Disclosure or use of confidential criminal justice information, accessing computer or electronic devices without authorization or exceeding authorization, unlawful use of two-way communication devices. Specifically, Estrella did intentionally intercept or procure another to intercept oral communications when he and another individual did record without the knowledge or consent of conversation between him and Detective Agrinsani. Following his recording, Estrella then disclosed the recording directly. Miguel, who, okay, I'm just going to leave that last name alone again, who had been summoned to be interviewed regarding the active homicide investigation. Furthermore, Estrella did, as a sworn public servant, have the intent to obstruct, impede, or prevent a criminal investigation. I hope they hang him high. As a sworn public servant, have the intent to obstruct, impede, or prevent a criminal investigation with such intent, did disclose active criminal investigative or intelligence information as defined in Chapter 119, when such information is not available to the general public, was gained by Estrella, his official position, through his access to law enforcement devices and databases beyond the scope of his authority to do so. Nothing worse than crooked cops. I mean, are you kidding me already? There's absolutely nothing worse. They're supposed to protect us, keep us safe. And that doesn't sound like this is what this guy had in mind. He was more interested in covering his own butt. And imagine being that cop that had her information sent out to these criminals. How would that feel? Specifically, Estrella did illegally record a conversation he was having with a member of the Major Crimes Unit, Detective Agrensoni, without her knowledge, and while doing so, did access a confidential database, David, to access Detective Agrensoni's license profile and Kathleen's license profile, and she's the victim. As stated above, Estrella is a uniformed patrol deputy and not assigned to or involved with the investigation being conducted by the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. Further, as confirmed by the Orange County Sheriff's Office, his use of David was unrelated to any legitimate criminal justice purpose and therefore exceeded his authority to use David on his agency's device, as defined in Chapter 119. Criminal investigative information means information with respect to an identifiable person compiled by a criminal justice agency in the course of conducting a criminal investigation or a specific act, including but not limited to information derived from laboratory tests, reports of investigators or informants, or any type of surveillance. Estrella's act of illegally recording a phone interview with an investigator actively investigating a homicide and carjacking, then sent that recording directly to someone sought to be interviewed and potentially involved in the crime. Coupled with confidential driver's license profile images from Detective Agrensoni and the victim of the crime. Documents indicate that he had the intent to obstruct or impede a criminal investigation by sending this confidential information, the license photographs, and illegally recorded phone call. The act of sending these items to someone actively being sought for in an interview and believed to be involved in the original crime clearly shows that Estrella had the intent to obstruct the investigation, and there is no reasonable explanation for his actions. Estrella did use a cell phone to illegally record a conversation with a law enforcement officer without knowledge or consent, and subsequently used said device to disclose the illegally intercepted information to a third party. Estrella used the cell phone to facilitate the underlying felony crime of interception and disclosure of wire, oral, and electronic communications, and disclosure or use of confidential criminal justice information. And this is signed and dated on the 14th of April. And of course, he's personally known to every cop out there. Wow, you guys. Just unreal. Let me see if I can find anything else. I think most of it is, from yesterday. So we've pretty much covered all of that. You're good. Jazzy's here, ready to tell me off. So what was this guy's intentions? Why was he sending out that cop's information, her personal address? That's spooky. That is spooky. Yeah, I think. You're okay for a minute. So by the looks of things, they have only got one in custody. Wait a second. Let's take a look at this really fast. Give me a second, ladies. Sorry, guys. Oh, give me a second. All this for a cookie? Are you kidding me? Oh, ow, get down. And too much lovin's. Is it too much? Okay, give me a second, ladies.
Start with an update on the carjacking, kidnapping, and murder of the woman driving this white SUV last week. A witness caught the carjacking on video. Well, deputies now say they have located this green Acura seen in the video, and they now believe it's tied to another murder. Thanks for joining us on this Monday. I'm Luann Sorrell.
And I'm Manny Martinez, an Orange County deputy, also behind bars in connection with this case. We have live team coverage of all the twists and turns in this bizarre case, and Hannah has more on the deputy that's behind bars facing several felonies. But we start with Fox 35's Stephanie Buffmonte. Stephanie, we got a lot of new information from Seminole Sheriff Dennis Lima today.
Yeah, like you said, Manny, there are so many pieces to this case, and the sheriff described this case as something you would see on TV and said the suspects are dangerous and described them as sophisticated criminals. Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima said they have located the car seen here in this video of when Catherine Aguas Vivas was carjacked and later found dead in her burned car. The sheriff said that there is only one green 2022 Acura in the state of Florida, and that car was connected to another.
Just one. One of them. The other two were accounted for.
Case in Orange County. The sheriff says the green Acura was towed in March and then released back. The tow truck driver was killed last Wednesday. Here's the video of that crime scene where the sheriff says the tow truck driver was found dead in Orange County. You can see all of the evidence markers where more than 100 rounds of bullets were fired. It happened just one day before Catherine's kidnapping. The sheriff says the green Acura was at the scene.
When you look at this thing, I mean, this is right out of a television show, right? You see this thing. There's a lot of bizarre circumstances here, and now to have this vehicle connected, unique characteristics, the rareness of the vehicle.
Another big part of this story, the sheriff learned a deputy with the Orange County Sheriff's Office was a childhood friend of the victim's husband. They say the deputy, Francisco Estrella, gave the lead detective on the case a fake name to find out what information they had so far. The sheriff says he also used their police database system to get the picture and home address of the investigator on the case and handed it over to the victim's husband.
So he's on his way up here with her brother. And at the time that they're driving here, they're getting fed all this information from the Orange County deputy. Here's where she lives. Here's the detective's name. Here's a recording of our conversation. So he's feeding all that information back. Why? We're going to find out.
And just to correct one detail I said there, the sheriff said that there's only one 2002 green Acura in the state of Florida, not 2022. We asked the sheriff today in that press.
Okay. I don't know what the hell was happening there. I don't know what was happening there. Video captures smoke from burning car in Osceola County, believed to belong to carjacked Florida woman.
We love Florida. It's now.
Just, whoa.
New video tonight shows smoke pouring into the air from an SUV on fire in Osceola County. Police believe the woman who was driving it was killed after she was carjacked and kidnapped. Good evening. I'm Luann Sorrell.
And I'm Marlisa Goldsmith. Tonight, the search continues for the people responsible for her murder. Fox 35's Patrick Perez is live in Seminole County tonight, where that carjacking happened. So, Patrick, there's still so much mystery surrounding this case.
Yeah, Marlisa, investigators are still trying to figure out why that woman was targeted, why she really drove up from the Miami area to Central Florida, and most importantly, where her...
It is looking like these people knew her. That's scary shite right there.
Killers took off to.
I mean, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. It's very scary.
Melissa knew something was wrong Thursday evening when she saw smoke near her home along Boggy Creek Road in Kissimmee.
I saw the police looking inside those 2 vacant houses over there. So it brought like awareness to me, like something is not right.
The Seminole County Sheriff's Office says the smoke was coming from an SUV that had been set on fire behind this vacant lot.
By the time authorities with the Osceola County Sheriff's Office arrived there was so much damage to the vehicle, you could not positively identify the vehicle, but they also discovered that one person was deceased and found in that vehicle.
Investigators are confident that person was Catherine Aguas Vivas, the South Florida woman seen in this cell phone video getting carjacked and kidnapped by an armed suspect Thursday afternoon in Winter Springs.
He was chasing the car, hit the car, got out of his car with a hood over his face and had a machine gun, it looked like.
Deputies suspect Aguas Vivas and her captor drove down to Osceola County, still being trailed by someone else in this green sedan. And it's behind this dirt road where investigators believe Aguas Vivas was eventually shot and killed.
There was 12 shell casings there of 10 millimeter rounds and one.
So that is the same caliber, I guess, is that how you say, of what they found at the tow truck driver's scene, these 10 millimeter.
Projectile that was located on the ground at that location.
Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima says Aguas Vivas' husband told investigators she drove up from Miami-Dade County to visit family, but so far they have not been able to confirm that.
We don't know of any biological family that's here in Central Florida that she was on her way to.
With a homicide investigation now underway between two counties, the focus remains on finding the people responsible for Aguas Vivas' death.
He could be anywhere right now, and it's scary.
Okay, I want to see.
And Sheriff Lima says investigators are going down to South.
I thought the 911 call was in here. Maybe it'll be in this.
Also breaking right now, this disturbing video shows a woman being carjacked in Seminole County. Just minutes ago, we received the 911 call from the person who initially called for help. Take a listen.
No, the guy had a machine gun and got the guy to open the door and was pointing the gun at him. And then he got in the back seat of the car. And then the car that was chasing them did a U-turn and they went back towards 1792.
Deputies now believe that victim was killed after they found a body inside of a burned out SUV. Fox 35's Matt Trezza is live in Sanford, where the sheriff just spoke about this case. Matt, what is the latest?
Yeah, well, in this case, Seminole County deputies are praising the Good Samaritans who shot that video, the people who saw something and said something and captured on video the moment that deputies say the bad guy got into the victim's car. The video is dramatic. Deputies say a man with a weapon gets out of the green car and walks to the white SUV in front of it. He aims what appears to be a gun at Catherine Aguas Vivas' window, then reaches inside and gets into the back seat.
The light turns green and both vehicles make a U-turn. Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima says it was the start of a nearly 2-hour journey that ended with deputies finding the smoldering remains of an SUV and a body inside.
There was so much damage to the vehicle, you could not positively identify the vehicle, but they also discovered that one person was deceased and found in that vehicle.
Lima says they believe the body is that of Aguas Vivas, but they're waiting for DNA and dental evidence to confirm it. He says her odyssey started in South Florida and she drove north to Seminole County. The video was shot at the intersection of East Lake Drive and Tuscaloosa Road.
About a half a mile or so prior to that intersection, she started to notice that the green Acura was behind her, and the Acura was actually ramming into her back bumper at that time.
Lima says after the masked man got into Aguas Vivas SUV, they drove south on 417 to Boggy Creek Road and Osceola.
Absolutely terrifying. Absolutely. Lordy, she should have just gunned it, gotten the hell out of there.
County, not far from a construction site.
Not so far away that eyewitnesses could not report hearing gunshots.
After that, deputies found the burned-out SUV with 10mm shell casings inside. We talked with former Orlando Police Chief Orlando Rolone about this case. He says investigators are putting the pieces together.
Hopefully, by now, cell phone data, vehicle data, because again, everything is connected these days, especially if the cars are newer. Hopefully, it has led them to something that will allow and will shed some light as to what exactly happened in this case.
Seminole County deputies are at this point still searching for the suspects and that green Acura, and they're asking for your help.
Okay, so we do know that they have got one in custody. So Mom, Sunshine, made a trip and she has shared it with us. So let's take a look. Again, follow Mind of Monsters, a wonderful advocate. She covers a lot of the stuff that goes on in Florida, and she makes the trips. She gives the times. She takes the time. So do sub up to Mind of Monsters. I call her Mom, Sunshine, and again, awesome advocate.
Her name is in the hashtag from yesterday, her last name, because I'm going to chop it to pieces and I don't want to disrespect her name. And we're going to take the 417 to the construction site, the empty lot where she was found, and then we're also going to have flip-flop. So I'm on YouTube today, so this should go a little different than trying to use StreamYard, which is wonky. And then we're going to take the 417 to the construction site. We're going to film the construction site. If there's like a spot, not to be graphic, that we can tell, I'll get some footage of that for you guys too. And then we're going to go and check on Madeline Soto's flowers at the memorial, and we're going to leave her a pretty little unicorn, and I'm going to put it on with the top of one of the fence posts. But I want to check on her flowers, and I brought some water because I live north of Orlando, north of Kissimmee in Orlando. So I want to check and make sure they have enough water. So hi, Drifty Rabbit. Hello, Andy Rose. Thank you guys for all being here. So we're gonna flip the camera because this works a little better than it does on StreamYard. And this way I can still see the chat too. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. So it should be a lot better audio than yesterday since we're gonna use YouTube instead of...
The fuck are you doing?
Hey,
Sorry.
Language.
People can't drive. Sorry, guys.
Oh, wow, his phone's like causing him to be all wonky. Somebody's calling me. All right, guys, so we're gonna head this way. So this is the road out here that is gonna take us to the 417. Victoria, good morning, love. Thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate everybody spending their Sunday morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world with us. So this is Aloma. You guys can see the sign there. This is Aloma. And we're on Deep Lake Road because we stopped at the Walmart so we could get.
Here's this 417 on ramp.
So we're going to take the 417 on ramp. And guys, keep in mind that this is going to be the same route that she took under Grandma G. Welcome in under the so there's tolls. Apparently, we're not going to pay the first one.
It's gonna be pay by plate. Yeah.
It's my driver over here. He's got a mind of his own.
They don't want to see toll pay. They want to see road and.
So we're taking the 417, and back to what I was saying before he decided to just pay by plate the tolls, which is fine. I mean, I have a Sun Pass, but I forget to put money on it, so I'll be totally honest. I got no reason to hide. I am the world's worst about putting money on the tolls. But anyway, so back to the story. So this is going to be about a 45-minute drive to the location where she was brutally.
It says about 30.
30. Yeah. Okay, well, we were going by what law enforcement said. So, so it was 10 millimeter rounds that were found at the site. So, it was a machine gun. So that's terrifying. And if you guys didn't catch the live yesterday, I played the presser. And then in the description from the live yesterday, I put the video of the Good Samaritan that called in to 911 and let them know that there was something burning. And what triggered it was there was an abandoned house that the police were searching. So she called them and told them, hey, there's smoke bellowing across the street. So we're thinking that's, you know, and that's why we always say if you see something, say something, because, you know, they may not have found this woman if it wasn't for that Good Samaritan that decided to call and say, hey, you know, this is unusual for my neighborhood. There's something burning. They came out and they were able to identify enough of the SUV to be able to tell that it was her SUV or what was left of it, and there was human remains in the vehicle. So they haven't DNA like positively identified, but I mean they're pretty sure it's her. Nubs Revenge, welcome in. See something, say something was a slogan from Germany during the 30s. That's awesome. That's awesome. The first time I ever heard see something, say something was Michael Monkey Vaughn missing out of Fruitland, Idaho. His mom, Brandy, like she really pushes see something, say something because, you know, guys know how close that, if you're new to the channel, that's a case that's very close to my heart, and he's still missing. So this girl was carjacked. She drove up from South Florida from Homestead, which is kind of like around the Miami area. It's not Miami, but like greater Miami. And law enforcement spoke to the husband. The husband said that up here visiting family. Now, however, law enforcement's not able to vet that information, and they're not able to find any family in the area. She was on, what road was that? I just went blank.
I'm sorry.
the road that he was ramming into, Lake Road.
That's East Lake Road.
East
and
Lake
Tuscarora.
Road and Tuscarora. Okay, so if you look, like if you Google that area, or even if you were, you know, watching yesterday when we were driving through that area, that's a very high skill. I mean, very high skill. Like that car is going to be super easy to see and find and identify in that area, because a 2002 car, green, that color green, is not something that is normal driven vehicle for that area. Like you see a lot of newer vehicles, or like our car is a Mustang, it's a newer Mustang, so you see a lot of like Mercedes and, you know, Porsches, and you know, like, well, there's a Mustang right there in front of us, you know. So this is, and we're on 417 now. Nubs or Vincent, those guys that followed that guy with the funny mustache used to use the slogan for apprehension of Jewish people. That is horrible. Victoria said she knows where Homestead is. I've been all around South Florida. Like my oldest son lived in Boca for a while. And it seems like I remember going through Homestead or around Homestead, because when we were down there, we went to Delray Beach and a couple other places.
It's going to be on the outskirts, and it's going to be a rural. I used to live in Boca too.
It's a rural area on the outskirts, is what Mr. Sunshine said. So I've also been to like Fort Lauderdale. I've been to Miami. I've been all over Florida. So we're still, I think as of this point, we're still in Seminole County, but we're going to switch over to Orange County, right?
Yeah, I think we might have already.
We may already be in Orange County. Yeah. So we're going to go into Orange County, and then we're going to switch from Orange County into Osceola County.
We got 16 more miles they drove, and then we'll be at that.
So we're on 417 South, and this is a toll road. Not a tow road, a toll road. Sorry, y'all. Again, thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you for all my community. If Drifty's still in here, thank you for coming in to mod this morning. I appreciate you. So this was a terrified event. You got to think this girl, and like what I can't wrap my mind around is they were ramming into the back of her vehicle for a half a mile. And he got out at the stoplight where we didn't do the illegal U-turn yesterday, guys. Got out at the stoplight, armed with a machine gun. The guy behind her was actually filming. You know, thank goodness for that good Samaritan that actually was filming the event happen. So that's how we have the footage that I showed yesterday towards the end of the live before my StreamYard, my laptop went nuts. That he was able to just open the door. We will be careful, Grandma G. Thank you so much. We will definitely be careful. Like we're just gonna go and drive around and kind of get some footage, and then we're gonna head towards Maddie's memorial, because if you guys haven't seen the video, we did my mods and my community, we got together and like everybody was taking like stuffed animals and all these beautiful memorials out to her fence and where her memorial is, where she was found. And I didn't want to take anything like a stuffed animal that's going to disintegrate. It's the hippie in me, guys. So I did go to a local nursery. It's actually a well-known nursery, Lucas Nursery. And the employee there was so nice. Like, he was so nice. And like I told him, you know, I'm an advocate for the missing. I have a YouTube channel, and I explained to him what happened to Maddie and that we were looking for some flowers that were natural flowers that are native to the state of Florida, able to grow on their own without any kind of maintenance. And he helped us, actually, my daughter helped pick out the flowers, and he helped us kind of direct us to where the native flowers were. and we picked out some really pretty flowers and went down there and planted them for Maddie on the fence. And drove the route from the condo. Well, we drove the route from the school to the church to the condo to where the monster, Stefan, makes me nauseous to even say his name, dumped Maddie's body. And I mean, it's like he didn't even make any effort. And that's kind of what we're going to see today is from the video that I watched. This is going to be right off the exit. So it's like these criminals, they don't plan this out. They don't take the time. So it's like you just randomly decide you're just going to take somebody's life, but you don't take the time to even try to really hide it. So it's like, it blows my mind. It absolutely just blows my mind. Everyday Survival, thank you so much for being here. Bless my sister. She's in here somewhere. She was earlier. I'm not sure if she's in here. She's a busy woman, so she pops in and out. She's a mod, and also she makes all my channel merch, so she's pretty busy. She might still be in here, though. I did, I think I posted, I don't even know if I posted this on Twitter. Probably not. Let me see. I don't even know if I can. I go messing with the, you know, see if we can do this without losing the live. You guys might have lost me for a second, but I'm back. So I wanted to make sure to post it on Twitter because there was a couple of advocates that that I said I would do this for, so that way, you know, we can get some footage of what this lady went through. You know, she had to be terrified this whole way. You guys that have been in here, you know, have seen that this is a stretch right here, and to be at gunpoint the whole time, like I couldn't imagine. Like her heart was probably racing 1,000 miles an hour. She was probably terrified. But what doesn't set well with me, what really doesn't set well with me is the fact that she didn't call 911. Her husband didn't call 911. Apparently, he has told law enforcement when he was on the phone with her that she just told her not to stop anywhere. So it absolutely blows my mind that why wouldn't somebody have, you know, why wouldn't she have locked the door first of all? Why wouldn't he or her have called 911? And what was she doing up here in Central Florida if there's no family that can be found? And this happened on Thursday. So, you know, there's plenty of time for family to have come forward when the only update that I've seen, I actually shared on Twitter last night, was that that the second perpetrator, they're pretty sure, is either Caucasian or Hispanic male that was in the vehicle. Miss Harmony, welcome in. Is this the lady from the gas station clip? Yes, this is the, well, she was at the Shell station and was carjacked, and by one perpetrator got in the vehicle, the other one followed them in the vehicle that they were in. If I have any mods still in here, please drop Miss Harmony's link. She's another great advocate that does a lot of work for the missing kids. I'm on my phone, and he doesn't have a wrench, or I jack his phone and do it. But if somebody could grab her link, I would definitely appreciate that. Amy Smith, welcome in, honey. Yes. Yeah, she's dead. We're going to go to the construction site because this happened in Castleberry and on Tuscaloosa and East Lake Drive. Guys, I'm not from here. I'm from Kentucky. So if you hear him narrating, the Florida man over here is going to keep me straight on the areas. So that she was carjacked. They got in the car with her and they drove to this area in Kissimmee, which was off of Boggy Creek Road, and that's where we're headed now. They found 10mm rounds around the vehicle. Well, 1 round and shell casings, to be technical, I guess. And for those of y'all that are not familiar with 10mm, that's a monster. Like, that's a monster. Like, we're talking like AK style, like choice of weapon type thing. Sorry, it's bouncy, guys. It's these wonderful Florida roads. It's, you know, they pull in enough for, yes, Miss Harmony, they are still out there. And as far as what I saw this morning before we left, which, you know, I have dogs and stuff, so I had to get everybody all rounded up and taken care of before we left out for the day. I haven't seen anything about them being identified. And the license plate was obscured, so it had like one of those blur thingies on it. I heard about it last night, but was busy with Sebastian Rogers' case. Yeah, I've been working on Sebastian Rogers' case as well, as far as covering it. For those of you guys that follow me on Twitter and have watched any of my videos on Sebastian, I have shipped out flyers to people that are unable to print them themselves. I had a sub, Sarah Maddie, that came in here. She sent me an email with her information, and I actually sent her flyers of Sebastian. I sent her flyers of Vadek Castle that's missing out of Orlando. Another family that's I'm very close to and love Bethany with all my heart and soul, and I've actually had the honor to meet her and meet her family and go to a vigil, and Mr. Sunshine actually spoke at the vigil, so I did go ahead and throw some of his flyers in there, because with these missing cases, these people could be anywhere in the world. And actually I carry these with me because Vern has started the national flyer drop for Vladek. So this is Vladek. And what we do is I stick them in places. Like when we do my decompressions, I like to go to Goodwill. So I've been sticking them in the Goodwill bathrooms, because the longer they stay there, you know, the better that we may be. But for those of y'all that don't know, Sebastian Rogers is a 15-year-old boy missing out of Hendersonville, Tennessee. For those of y'all that follow the channel, know that I lived in Nashville for over 30 years of my life. I'm very familiar with Hendersonville.
We're getting close. There's just starting to be construction. So we're 1.5 miles away from the Boggy Creek exit.
Okay, so I'm going to flip it back around.
Construction sites. Looks like there's road construction.
I'm going to flip it back around, guys, because we're getting close to the exit.
So there's Boggy Creek Road.
Dolly and his crew went out and spread flyers near his parents. That's good. I'm glad they're spreading flyers instead of misinformation. That's awesome. That's amazing, because that's what we should be doing as creators is sharing their faces and sharing their names, and not the misinformation or attacking the parents or hunting down his parents and stalking them at their campsite or stalking them at their home. So that's wonderful that he actually went and hung fire. All right, so we're going through construction, and guys, my signal is probably going to go in and out a little bit because these construction areas have like blockers on them where I guess where I'm from, it's for dynamite purposes. I have.
All right, this is Boggy Creek Road right here.
I sent you the.
Take it right.
I sent you the address. I thought.
To the construction site.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to lose my live if I try to navigate.
Here, I'll do it. You send it to my phone?
I think so, yeah. Let me see. Hang on, guys. Send it. Then I send it to your email. Wonderful. So I probably sent it to the wrong email. That's great. That's fantastic. All right, guys. Hopefully I don't lose you guys. I should be able to shrink this. Give me just a second. So did they put the car? So did they put the car on fire, leaving her in it? Yes. Yeah. They set the car on fire. So hopefully I don't lose you guys. I should be able to just shrink this long enough to get to my screenshots. I'm hoping I didn't lose you guys. 43.75. So he has a couple of emails, guys. So this is completely my operator error because I did not send him send it to the correct email. What did I just say? 43.75?
43.75.
Is that all you have to do? Yeah, it is horrible. So this is the exit that they took, I believe. Yeah.
No, it's gonna be. They drove a little bit down Boggy Creek because it's about 15 minutes away on Boggy Creek.
Yeah, it says that they drove down Boggy Creek.
Yeah, so we're about 15 minutes. It says for now we're on Boggy Creek, and it's about 15 minutes.
4 victims first. Welcome in. Thank you so much. I've seen you around the streets, the YouTube streets. Thank you for subbing. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I agree, Miss Harmony. What else can we do? We can share their faces, share their names, share their stories, make sure that we keep them out here and keep their names out here and make sure that their faces are shown because a lot of us have different communities. We have different subs. So you never know when that one person might see that flyer or that person's face and say, oh, you know, I saw this person on such and such road or at such and such restaurant. And, you know, if you have seen a missing person, I'm going to reiterate this, and I know I've said it a couple of times. Don't send your tips to YouTubers. I don't care if they have the family member on their channel every night. Don't send tips to YouTubers. Send it to the proper authorities. You know, there's a difference in sending, like, if they're out searching and sending, you know, hey, go look at this area. Because when Brothers Divers was up there looking for Sebastian, and guys, make sure you subscribe and everything because we're going to have them on panel for an interview. Him and Narc Divers is going to come up and we're going to do an interview because they have a cadaver dog and they dive and they search with sonar. And I think it would be really interesting to pick their brains and get some good information. Miss Harmony says, one of the flyers I put out of a boy was 7. See, one of the flyers that I put out of a boy 7 was found due to that. That's awesome, Miss Harmony. He was transported to Mexico and possible they take him far away. Yeah, absolutely. And like where I am in Florida, there's so much water around us. And generally the Coast Guard, you know, they patrol South Florida. But like if you go to Daytona Beach, like it wouldn't be anything to get a skivvy out there from the beach or from one of the piers, take somebody out to a bigger ship, and they're gone. Because the Coast Guard doesn't patrol that area like they do South Florida. But South Florida, we have all the other islands and stuff that are around South Florida. You know what I mean? So that's why they patrol those areas for narcos and human trafficking and all different kinds of reasons. Miss Harmony says, yes, I love hearing from them. My daughter is a military search and rescue. Her dog helps now. That's awesome. Hey, Cher, welcome in. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well. So he's navigating, and I'm trying not to side seat drive, y'all, because I am a big side seat driver. I can't help it.
No, you can't.
I can't help it. It's because I got management in my blood, and it's like, I feel like he needs to be directed. If I have any mods in here, if you guys could drop Cher's link, I would very much appreciate that. Voices Behind the Wall is Cher's, so I don't know if I have any mods still in here. I should just mod you. I don't know about giving you a wrench, though. He's my driver.
I can't monitor.
Oh, thank you, honey. I'll drop you in the description. That way, at least I can have your link on here. Thank you for all you do. I appreciate it, and I hope you're doing well, because I haven't seen you around much. Which I work so damn much, I don't get on like I used to anymore. This is a beautiful area too, guys, and like we saw yesterday, like I'll try to flip it. There's a Wawa right here. So Wawas are good for cameras.
This little city part, Lake Nona, was built brand new. Everything was like.
I only have Nightbot. Yeah, my sister probably dipped. Like I said, she's a busy woman, so she probably came in, said hi, and dipped out on us. What did you say?
This is a new area they built.
Oh, this is a new area?
Yeah, like everything. A lot of it's really new. See, look, they're building up the town.
There's construction everywhere. You guys can see yours. This is all construction. And then there's construction on this side too. Growing by leaps and bounds. Wait, whose voice? Wait, who's that voice? I think I know it. Well, you got me. And then you got the old man over here.
Oh, man.
He's driving today. Man, my phone is like not on my little holder. There we go. I did tighten it. Yeah, it should be all right. I do pretty good. I think I only have like two trolls that come in. Modine. I love Modine. He can troll anytime he wants to. And then I was graced with the Green Goblin the other day when I was talking about Sebastian.
You know what the weird thing is with this? Look how close we are.
I know you're hot. I didn't know hubby's voice. I thought it sounded like oh yeah, no, it's not Don B. No, that's the hubby. It's the hubby. It's not Don B. I'm in Florida.
This is really close to the Madeline Flower.
It's close to what?
Yeah, Madeline.
Yeah, that's why I said.
No, it's like really close to it.
I Google mapped it.
That's
so
weird.
I was like, I felt like since we were in this area, I really want to go check on Maddie's flowers.
That's pretty close. That's weird.
I want to see how big her memorial has grown and be able to get you guys some footage of how big her memorial has grown. Best for Martini, welcome in, honey. And like, I got sidetracked, ADHD, guys. So the bulbs that I planted, Dandy, one of my mods, asked for bulbs. So I planted these really pretty pink bulbs, and they're not supposed to bloom until the end of summer. But get this, I took 6 of them and I planted them at the house in these pretty little pots. I've got 3 that are growing. So I thought it might be neat if we stopped out here and and took a look at Maddie's flowers, and like I brought water. And if you guys didn't see earlier in the live, I don't like bringing stuff to memorials that is like stuffed animals, and no disrespect to anybody that took a stuffed animal, because you're a lovely person for doing that, but I got her a pretty little unicorn, and I'm probably gonna have glitter all over me, but I'm gonna put it on the fence post for Madeline. The monster goes to court, I think Monday. I don't know what today's date is, so
Today's the 14th.
so he goes to court for what they found on his phone. Miss Harmony said, when I was a girl, a lady placed daffodils on the hill. When I went back as a young woman, there were hundreds there. That's awesome. Monday's the 15th, tax day. Okay, thank you, Vesper Martini. So she will have tulips every year. That's awesome. The ones that we planted, the names of them are on my community wall because I'm not good with flowers. I'll be honest, guys. I have cactuses, and by the grace of everything in the universe, those cactuses are still alive because I am not a green thumb kind of person. But I don't mess with them, and I finally found like the container, the pot that I'm happy with them being in, so I've quit replanting them. So that's probably the only reason that they're still with us. But I'm really proud of my little cactuses, and now I've managed to grow bulbs, but I don't mess with those either. I put the dirt and the special soil stuff and water them and stay away from them, because if I mess with them a lot, they're not going to make it. You know, back in my younger days, I could grow a 10-foot tall cannabis, but not so much with actual flowers, because I'm not a flower person. You can't kill a cactus even if you don't want. Don't even know how I killed it, but I killed it. So I'm really proud of these. I have 3 of them and they're not dead. So I'm super, yeah, it's this area, it's kind of rural out here. So I apologize. Hopefully it didn't buffer, but just for a second, guys. So signal might go in and out just a wee bit. And I'll flip it back around so you guys can see where we're at. So you see there's a lot of construction. We should be getting close to it.
1.3 minutes away.
Yeah. Because I did get on and I watched the video that was released, and then I kind of Google Map lurked on the area. Because we haven't been down here, so this is raw footage, guys. There may be some turning around and whatnot. Hopefully not a lot of it, but we may possibly end up with some such. And you're good at growing roses, Victoria. That's awesome. Since I just got here, you're going to the site where the woman was carjacked. No, the site where she was carjacked was back at the 417. That was yesterday's live. Vesper Martini. We did we didn't make the illegal U-turn, but we did go through the area there, and we drove the route. This is the second part where they got on 417, which is a highway. It's a toll road, and they came from Castleberry, Florida, and brought her out here to Kissimmee, and that's where we are now, is in Kissimmee. River Rat, welcome in. Thank you. It says, I love your YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
We're about to turn in 1 minute up here.
Okay. So the first place that we're going to see is going to be the abandoned house. And once we get to that area, I should be able to navigate where the construction site was. Hopefully. Again, guys, raw footage, so I appreciate everybody for being patient and hanging out here with us. You're very welcome. Yes, Kissimmee again, right. So this is the abandoned house, and there's a fence. So this is the abandoned house where they were searching. The police were. So it has to be up there because the lady's apartment was right here and it was burning back there. So there has to be a way to get back there. Yeah, I'll get it. Let's see. So this is the abandoned house that the police were searching. And the lady that called the 911 call. So this is the abandoned house that law enforcement was searching. And then if you watch the video, that's the same black plastic. So I'm going to assume there's going to be a road down here that we're going to be able to take a left on. It's busy, guys. So we're waiting on him to be able to swing out. There's cars coming that way too. So it's a busy road. Yeah, Kissimmee again. Damn Kissimmee. So there's sticks and stuff. This is not a four-wheel drive, sir. There's a ditch over there.
Jarvis got this.
See, my micromanaging skills kicked in there.
Way easier to go forward and then backwards into traffic.
Okay, so here we go. So there's the, oh, let me flip it. There's the apartment complex. So it looks like that is a house. So we're not going to turn it up. That was the dirt road right there. Back there? Back there. That was the dirt road. All right, guys, we're almost there. Thank you guys for all hanging in here. And like I said, I appreciate you being here. And I figured this is what we would have to do because, like I said, this is raw footage. We have not been down here. We're doing this live with you guys. So you guys can see there's a lot of construction. And then these woods, this is a good idea of if you have to search for a missing person down here, what you're going through. Okay, so we're going to turn on the dirt road. Nope, this is a driveway. Don't cross that. Do not cross that. Dude, this is not a four-wheel drive.
You got it.
Y'all.
I got this. Did I not get it? Boom, baby.
He is driving my Mustang like
Here's
it's
the
four-wheel
dirt road.
drive.
All right, there we go.
Okay, so this is the dirt road. And there's another abandoned house over there. You guys can see the other abandoned house. I hope we don't get stuck back here.
All right.
Don't get off in that little rut. Oh, my Lord. Y'all, I hope we don't get stuck back here. It ain't been raining, so
Big Daddy ain't gonna get stuck. Don't worry.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so this is where...
Probably somewhere, it was happening somewhere here, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna drive too far in, guys. I don't want to get stuck.
Don't drive too far in. I think I see what we're looking for. Okay, so this is where they dumped her car and set her car on fire. And here's tracks right here, guys. So they towed the vehicle out. But this is where her body was dumped in her burning vehicle. And the sand looks different right there. So I'm going to assume that because it would have been boiling from over there. There's the apartments. So, I mean, like, they didn't even make any effort. This is crazy. But the sand is a different color right here. See all those tracks and then the tracks going back that way. We'll walk out here a little ways. I'm not going to walk this whole construction site, guys. Oh, okay. That right there. That is all wet right there, so I'm assuming that must be the spot where they put her car out. So this is where they found her car. Wow. It's surreal when you come out to these places, guys. It's absolutely surreal. So they didn't even really make any kind of effort. Didn't make any kind of effort. Then right back there, that looks like a big burnt spot too, if you guys can see it. But I'm pretty sure it's right there. Just from watching the footage. Wow. So this is where they dumped her body and set her car on. Well, this is where they set her car on fire with her body in the car. Miss Harmony says, I'm baking apple pies, so I got time. Can I record this portion and add it to my Twitter? Absolutely. You sure can. Yeah, I don't strike anybody. You can share any of my content, screen record anything. The only thing I ask for is a shout out. And I mean, you're not even obligated to do that. I just appreciate it if you do. But yeah, you can definitely.
Wow, that gives a person the chills. Unreal, Mom. So how long would they have had to drive from the place that they got her to the place that you guys were right there? How long of a drive did they take? That is just something. You had me laughing. I thought you were gonna take over the driver's seat there for a minute. Oh, did you? 45 minutes. Can you imagine how terrifying that would be? Whoa, unreal. I'm just going to make sure that there's no other updates that, you never do know. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. That is terrifying. And it sounds like this is fairly, like I was saying, like a spider web. I'm just going to make sure there's no more updates. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing anything else. So that's where we are at. Okay. 45 minutes. Yeah, thank you so much. It's a total different feeling when you actually, even from sitting here in Canada watching you do it, it gives you the chills, Unreal. So they matched up ballistics from one scene to the other. I'm assuming that's how they kind of connected those. So we got a crooked cop. We've got sounds like maybe more than one investigation. Yeah, thank you, Mom, for everything you do. Okay. Just scary. Well, it's going to be interesting to see if, oh, right. It's going to be interesting to see who else gets arrested, How did the husband, I don't know. I'm not even going to put stuff out there, but I'm glad they're still searching and they're still looking to see who these other people are, and they're still doing all their testing on all of these different devices, the phones, just scary. Yeah. That's what it sounds like. I don't know anything about that stuff, but I know that I have not seen that 10 millimeter float around an awful lot. It's usually 8, if I'm correct. Oh, absolutely. I mean, big thanks again to Mom and that green car. Yeah. And what the hell was that cop up to? Like, giving out that detective's personal information, not like where she lived. Wow. 9 millimeter? Okay. 9 millimeter. Is there even an 8? I don't know. I think I'm thinking of camera film. I don't know anything about these weapons. Oh. Yeah, but they almost have to feel that way to take the risks that they take because that and really stupid, like, come on. Taping the calls. Going on and literally getting her information about where she lives. It's like, what did you want them to know that for? That's scary to me. And he was what? He was like a street cop? They can't, Tracy. They can't. You know? Oh, hey, thanks, Mexi. Many thanks. That makes me feel good. They usually are. Isn't that the truth, Ruth? We look at a lot of these cases and it's like, okay, you want to say that's just crooked, but then everybody thinks you're a conspiracy theorist. And then it turns out, no, that was actually crooked. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Fine line between cop and criminal. Yeah. Here, here. Just, whoa. Normal thinking person, we just hurt someone, our conscience eats us up. Some do not even think of this, blink, and that is cold. Absolutely. It's just, I know I just it's my thing. Are you kidding me? It's like, what? Oh my God. The people that roam this world with us? Ah, la la, man. So I don't know. I think it's going to go further than just the ones that we know of now. I have a sneaking suspicion that this is going to go a little bit further because how did this? Yeah, exactly. Like Drew Peterson. Older sibling was one, younger one still is one, of course, and I'm the black sheep. Hey, nothing wrong with being the black sheep. Nothing wrong with that at all. We're usually the sane ones. Oh, lordy, lordy. I think you're right. I think it's going to be a huge case. I think this might go a little deeper. It's throwing another person's death the day before, this crooked cop. There's a few things in here that just make my head spin. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye on it. And if anything else happens, we'll talk again. Yeah, I totally agree. So guys, thanks for joining me for so long. Oh, that's the thing. Are any other cops involved? That's a scary thought, but I understand it. Yes. Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining me, you guys. That was 3 hours and 15 minutes. Oh, thanks for your help. That was awesome. And thanks for, taking the time. out of your day to do every thing that you do. And I mean that, like, from the bottom of my soul, I mean that. You do amazing things. You know, you see all these channels with these big numbers. Your turn's coming, girlfriend, because there's not anybody like Mind the Monsters. So much love sent your way. Not cranky Franky. Hey, we all gotta have our days. So guys, don't forget to sub up to Mind of Monsters, and thank you for spending the time with us. Happy 420, and subscribe, like, share, hit that bell, and I'll see you guys soon in the next one. Bye.